Hello and welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. I know you're thinking, why are you guys looking so smart? Especially you with a mask and suit combination, Rob. Loving it.
I feel like Rey Mysterio at the Hall of Fame.
At the Hall of Fame.
It's happening, man. He's going in. Obviously, that's another subject for another day. But I'm enjoying this. I think we should do this more often.
We should do this more often. But of course, we've dressed up and we are here for kind of a special preview episode of the podcast, ready for WrestleMania 39. Of course, as you know, WrestleMania is going Hollywood. But today, the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel is also going Hollywood. So much so, I've even got a red carpet theme going on behind me as well. So what we'll do, we'll be back right after this intro talking WrestleMania.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
All right, so as we said, a special themed episode of the podcast today, Rob. How are you feeling, mate? We're well on the road to, well, not the road anymore, the red carpet to WrestleMania. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, firstly, are we going to be making these like movie Oscar puns throughout the whole episode?
If you've got a few more loaded up, mate,
I mean, then... we'll drop them in sparingly.
yeah. Let's not overwhelm the viewer. We got a lot of movie themed stuff going on. You told me off air you've got something you want to show off on the camera.
Yeah. At what point? I don't know when you want me to like cut the scene and we'll start the show.
You know what? Every time we start predicting a match, we do that. Yeah.
All right.
How about that? All right. I like it. All right. Well. Good to see you back, Rob. Of course, we've got a lot of content coming up on the channel this week around WrestleMania, Hall of Fame, and things like that. And we'll be kind of touching on some of that stuff throughout this stream as well. But yeah, whether you're watching live or on demand, we really do appreciate you joining us. And it's going to be fun talking WrestleMania. But general vibes, mate, are you excited for WrestleMania? Surely you are. It's always an exciting time of year. It's like Christmas to wrestling fans.
It is. I'll tell you what I'm most looking forward to is the fact that there doesn't feel like there's too many matches. I think we said in the group chat, I think there's 12. So over 2 nights, that's 6 matches. And that doesn't feel like a lot on a card.
Yeah.
And it gets more time to breathe. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I think it's going to be really good.
Let's just hope they don't throw too many on top after this.
Yeah, exactly. That's my biggest concern. Well, obviously, we said that how many years in a row now that it's overloaded, it's too crowded, there's too much going on. But it feels like maybe they've got it right this time. So, Triple H is booking.
There we go. Yeah, we've been saying for a while, every month it feels like, this is the first time Triple H is getting involved in this at this level. So it'll be interesting to see how his first WrestleMania goes in charge. But what we'll do, we'll kind of run it a bit like a regular predictions and preview episode, but we will be doing another one of those in a few days' time as well. So keep your eyes out for it on this channel when Dan and Lucas will be taking the wheel there on their road to WrestleMania. But we're sticking to the red carpet to WrestleMania today, and we're going to be doing our own little predictions as well. Also, of course, coming up to WrestleMania itself, we'll have our build-up shows where we touch on last-minute predictions, but today we'll be locking in mine and Rob's predictions overall for the predictions table. I've said the word predictions a lot there, but basically we're going to predict the show as well as preview it. It's going to be a fun one, mate, and like you said, we've got a lot of matches to go through as well. So let's get started with the match everyone's looking forward to the most. Brock Lesnar versus Omos.
I thought you were going to start with Cena Theory, as we know that's opening the show.
That is opening the show. Don't get me wrong. I just wanted to make a little joke there. But we'll do Brock and we'll move into Cena Theory in a little bit. Look, I mentioned that there, like obviously in jest, because everybody's kind of crapping all over it, really. Would I prefer to see Brock in another match at Mania? Yeah. But there needs to be matches that are just kind of silly little spectacles, right? And they can't all be kind of Meltzer breaking, Meltzer scale breaking matches or anything like that. So, but I think for what this could be, it could be fun. I think the big moment we're looking for is the F5 from Brock, surely on Omos.
Yeah.
Whether or not he can do it, it'll be incredible to see if he does pull it off. But yeah, for that reason, I am actually kind of looking forward to this match because it's just something different on the card to kind of shake things up. You don't want it all the same stuff. So yes, could Brock be used better elsewhere? Definitely. But could this be good for the type of match that it is? Yeah, I'm looking forward to it for the kind of match it is. What's your general vibes on this match, babe, before we get into predicting it?
So I'll be honest. When it was booked and we see the build for this, I was like, oh no, not this. And a part of me felt like this is the point where we get the Hurt Business come back and it's to go against Brock, and then we get Lashley Brock again, because I felt like it kind of, we didn't get the ending that we wanted and things like that. So I don't know, man. Anything can happen. I mean, what's Lashley doing now? Because with the Bray stuff, that's up in the air. Is, so there's so much going on that I think all of that kind of distracted me from the fact that Brock Lesnar is actually going against Omos.
Yeah, and of course, with all the rumors that like he turned down Bray and whatever else. Again, I stress the word rumors. We don't know. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that match does go ahead. But yeah, on the other side of that coin, we do have a completely different style match, So, all right, let's get into some predicting for it, mate. How should we haven't got our dice here. And although Ronnie Storm's joined us, I haven't quite set him up. So should we just kind of me, then you sort of thing?
I mean, if we do me, you, or if whoever goes last goes first on the next one. So it'll be, if it's me, you, it'll go you, me, then me.
Yeah. So,
like
all right, cool. All right, well, I'll go first on this one then. Brock Lesnar versus Omos. I actually don't know. That's going to be a theme about a lot of this. I haven't really thought too much about my predictions, to be honest. I think, like I said, I think the spectacle is there waiting for us, whether or not he can hit that F5. But he doesn't have to win if he hits that F5. But who has to win? Omos. Omos needs a win. Is Brock really going to, as a person, be willing to step aside on a big stage like that and let Omos win? I don't know. Don't know him personally. So I know a lot of people out there be saying definitely not, he wouldn't. But we don't know. If he sees it as a payday, and you know what, I've put over someone who looks massive and maybe could be conceived as actually beating me up in real life, then maybe he wouldn't have a problem with that, So, it's actually a tough one to call. I feel like there might be people screaming at the screen saying, "What are you talking about? It's easy." But I don't know. I think part of me wants to go. I think the logic side of me wants to go Brock, because I think all the time, not more often than not, Brock seems to win, and he's never put over someone at this level of the card, or definitely not for a long time. But Omos has just lost so often. It just feels kind of pointless. You know what? I can see smirky Brock at the end of the match because he's beat Omos. So I'm gonna go with. But then there's all MVP stuff and the whole, could he kind of reform the Hurt Business with Omos, but then we don't know because of Lashley, and I'm just gonna go. I could see the Hurt Business coming out here and beating up Brock. It's tough, man, because the table weren't looking good for me, and this is where I need to really start paying attention. I
mean, you can always use a bonus point if you fancy it.
Shut up. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. More often than not, it's Brock. So I'm gonna say it's Brock Lesnar winning for me.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if anyone needs the win right now, it's Omos. But
yeah, I agree.
I think Omos is going to get the win, but I don't know if it's going to be like a legit win. If it will be like a standard, like 3 count.
The same way that my champagne's not a legit champagne, but it's for the theme.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'll be honest. I said, why you haven't got a drink in your mouth? I don't even think I know what Omos' finisher move is. So how can we know what he's going to hit if I don't even know what he hits?
Yeah, it's kind of a good point.
Yeah. So I have no idea. I think, as you said, the spectacle is Brock doing the F5. I think we'll get it. We're going to get a lot of suplexes, I reckon, because that would be great to see. But I don't know. I think this is the hardest match probably for me to call because
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Because I really don't know. But I'm going. See, I want it to be Brock, but then at the same time, I think it makes sense for Omos to come out only so we get that Hurt Business. So Omos comes out of victory, but victorious with the Hurt Business. That's what I want to see.
Yeah. But we've wanted the Hurt Business for a long time.
I know.
And we keep getting disappointed. So
yeah. I'm going Brock, but if the Hurt Business come out, I won't be upset that I've lost a point.
Yeah, that's a good way to be,
That's how I've got to look at it. But yeah, I think that makes more sense.
Okay, I like that. Okay, well, once again, guys, if you're watching live or on demand, let us know what you think is going to happen at Mania and what you would like to see happen. Me and Rob are saying we think it'd be Brock, but we'd like to see some sort of Hurt Business involvement there. But yeah, who knows? We'll see. Now, moving on to the next match. You know what? I just realized, Rob, you didn't even do the clapper.
I did it. I was too engrossed in what Omos's finishing move is. What is it? I don't even know what it is.
Is it one of them ones?
Chop. Like a choke slam, maybe? I have no idea, bro.
Yeah.
Actually, if he does like the bionic elbow or something.
He's not very defined as a wrestler, is he? Like a lot of these big guys get copy and pasted, don't they, as far as their moveset? So anyway, it is what it is. Will we see Brock Lesnar or Omos go over? We'll see come the weekend. Right, now moving on. Next, we've got Bianca Belair, the Raw Women's Champion, defending against Asuka. And I've got to be honest, Rob, I feel like the hype for this match, just like the other women's title match, has been way more underwhelming than I thought it would be.
It's been lackluster, isn't it?
Yeah, so a lot of people have been saying it should have been switched. We would have got them. We said it even around the Rumble, didn't we? Rhea versus Bianca seems like the obvious one. But it's not what they've gone for. They've gone for Bianca versus Asuka. They brought Asuka back in a new character. But yeah, it's kind of gone quite stagnant for a while. So what are you thinking as far as the Raw Women's Championship match?
I think, do you know what? Again, it falls back into this issue of because there's no PLE between the last one and Mania, there's nothing to build up. So they get all this hype.
6 weeks, isn't it? Yeah.
6 weeks of a build up with no payoff. And people moan about long-time story booking with like Bray and stuff like that. And we've had 6 weeks, and what's really happened in the story for these two? Nothing. Is Asuka a heel? Is Bianca going heel? Like what? I don't even know who's facing who's heel going into the match. Who's going to play what position?
Yeah.
I really don't know. Like, and the thing is, I want to be behind both of them, and I feel like both of them are so good. And how can you get behind anyone when you don't really care what's going on in a match?
Yeah, and that's what's crazy about it. It's like it just shows the difference between the build because, like I say, we enjoy both performers, and I could see a world where this match is one of the ones I'm most looking forward to. Yet it's currently one of the ones I'm least interested in. Because I'm sure the match itself will be great, but the story and the build around it, and I think again it's been the same for both women's championship matches. So a real shame, but again, I'm sure on the night. Both women will kind of pull the tricks out of the bag. All right, well, you'll go first on this one as far as prediction, right?
I think Bianca's had it for a long run now. I think unless you're going to turn her heel and have her retain it, but then become the heel going forward. So it's something refreshing for her, which it's not on her. Sometimes wrestlers do get stale. We had the same thing with Drew McIntyre. We had the same thing with Seth Rollins. We had the same thing with Roman is going a bit stale at the moment. Like sometimes wrestlers get that moment where they've done so much as a babyface, they have to switch it because they can't do any more. But otherwise, fans will turn on them, and you don't want fans to turn on you. And obviously, we definitely don't want it. I mean, we spoke highly about the women's wrestling division in general. And the last thing we want to see is a decline in women's wrestling when it's really starting to get going. It's getting some momentum, as we've said, but the booking just hasn't been great. So I'm in two minds of Asuka wins, and then we go forward with that. But the problem with that is Asuka, every time she's won a title, she hasn't been a credible champion.
Mm.
So I'm more worried about what we're going to get out of it going forward. So I think if they're going to put all this stock and this planning to turn in Asuka back into the look that she's gone to now, which she was doing in Japan, I think it makes sense for her to win. But at the same time, I like the idea of her not beating Bianca and Bianca turning heel and winning that way. So she cheats to win. And then we go on.
Mm.
So I'm going... I reckon this is going to go SummerSlam. And I think that's where Asuka's going to win. So I'm going Bianca to win.
See, I agree with you. Like, she has held the title for so long, and I've enjoyed much of the reign. But I think something's got to happen soon with Bianca Belair to keep it fresh. And Asuka, if she gets it, it can't feel like the title doesn't mean anything, which happens so often with Asuka's runs. It's horrible even saying it, because again, we like both performers, but anyway, like I said, I'm sure the match itself will be great. So what you're going with Bianca Belair?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go with.
It's hard, isn't it? I think this is all of them. Some of them are really hard because of the booking. Like, there's not been a big direction of what's happening.
Yeah, it's not been clear, which I guess is a good thing. In some ways, keeps you guessing on your toes. But yeah, I just if Asuka wins it, Bianca's got to turn heel or something like that. Because she's on a record-breaking run at the moment, Bianca. So I can see them wanting to extend it, but then extending it as a heel maybe is a good way, because then you can start using that as kind of part of your promos as well.
Yeah,
that you've been on top for so long, kind of like Roman Reigns situation. Man, I think the last few months I've gone against Bianca because I've been like, oh, surely now's the time that they kind of take it off. And let's see when she won the title, actually. Bianca Belair.
It wasn't Mania, was it? Against Sasha?
Well, at time of recording,
Is that what it was?
356 days, April 2nd.
Who's the longest reigning champion?
Longest. Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be Flair, though.
Longest reign is 373 days, which is that's the Raw Women's title at least, which of course what she's got anyway. That's Becky Lynch. So to be fair, I could definitely see them wanting to keep it over a year. Yeah. So you've got this close, you can't take it off her. No, for me, Bianca Belair's gonna keep it. I think a few months ago I thought it was time, but as soon as they push through that and we can get into a second win with it, then I'm all for it. I don't know what it means for Asuka. They brought her back with this kind of new version of an old character, and where did it go from here if she's not credible to win the title? How it will seem as TV wise, then what does she do next? It's a bit of a worrying one. Okay, so I'm going to go for Bianca as well. So far, Rob, me and you are on the same predictions here. If we want to separate ourselves, we're going to have to start going separate on the picks as well. You mentioned it earlier on that the match that's opening up night one is said to be Austin Theory versus John Cena. Now, for many, this is a dream match. Certainly for Mr. Austin Theory, this will be a dream match for him. And one we've seen coming, I think, for a long, long time.
It's weird to say that this is a dream match. And that's no disrespect to Theory. Obviously, we know Cena's in that, is in a league of his own when it comes to people having dream matches against him now. Or Brad, as JBL would say, big match John. But, bro, this is so good. The promo, like what Cena said to him, and then in retaliation, the way Theory's been. It's so good. Like, this is the match. I think, other than I've got 3 matches that I'm looking forward to, and this is one of them.
Me too.
We'll go on to the others. But yeah, I've got something to throw at you. A lot of people are thinking that Cena will win, do an open challenge on night 2, and Theory regains it. But which it's a bit weird, isn't it?
Why?
Exactly. Like, I just think because what he beat Cena. I like the idea of
pointless.
Exactly. I love the idea. If you're going to do it, why break his run at the moment as the champion?
Well, they did it already, didn't they? They broke his run as champion and gave it back to him anyway. You know, when he
they've done it with Seth.
They wanted to use him, so very strange. I could see Cena winning it so that someone else answers the open challenge or something like that on Raw. But otherwise, like, because the big thing is, isn't it? Everyone's going, Cena ain't staying around, so it's obvious it's Austin Theory. But I would not be surprised that Cena stuck around for at least Raw. So that does kind of sway me, but I don't think it's to kind of give it back to Theory the next night. I think it's but then surely you want to make Theory with this match. Surely that's the point of it. You know what I mean? Not to but you know, even if Cena wins and they have a sort of a handshake at the end, but Theory doesn't want to do it, but Cena has shown that respect, saying you earn it and all this kind of stuff, because that's a big part of the story as well, isn't it? So I can't see Theory turning babyface, but
no, but you got to look at the last match Cena had of last year was he and Kevin Owens beat Roman and Sami Zayn, right? And then the last time, I think I may be wrong, so let me know in the comments if you're watching live, or you know, if you're watching it on demand, and obviously hit in the comments. But I believe Cena lost his last match, and that was against Roman. So where does he go? Like, I like the idea of Cena coming out first, so he gets his big moment, and then Austin Theory comes out, but as the old John Cena comes out in his jorts, literally mocks him. Like, and literally he comes, because he dressed up as like Cena for the Cena's 20th anniversary thing.
Yeah,
like 20 years of being on WWE. So
it's funny because they're so similar, but we're looking at Theory at a time where he's got a beard and stuff like that. You know, like if you didn't have that, if when I had that backstage promo a few months ago, and Theory only had a little bit here, they kind of, you could see it better. But like, the comparison isn't as much there visually, at least when he's got the beard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would be opposed to something like that.
Even that coming out with a spinner, you know, with like the chain or something, like just something. I want him to come out and mock Cena to really like, even if he doesn't win, he hit him with something. You know, there's not many people that can like go toe to toe or like mic to mic with John Cena.
Yeah, he did it very well. Like you said, that promo on Raw a few weeks back was one of the highlights, I think, of the past few weeks for me, and certainly in the build for WrestleMania. So is it me predicting first this time?
Yeah, but I can go if you want. I don't mind. I've already got my answer.
We'll be fair. I reckon it's just a tough one, man. Like, I think this is a really tough Mania to pick. I think I want it to be Austin Theory winning because I want it to cement him and give him that next chapter. But I really do like the idea of a shocking Cena win, because they know people look at this stuff and go, Cena's going away. So like, even if they did it, you know, kind of like the Zack Ryder thing where he won it and then the next night he lost it, as far as the IC title, I think Cena winning it would cause such a buzz. But then does it damage the title, you know? And I do think bring back the open challenge and someone else the next day, not Austin Theory. But then out of that, where does Theory come out of that? Lost. You know, he doesn't look great, does he? So
no.
I'm gonna go. Do I go the safe bet, which is someone would have to come back on Raw to do it, you know what I mean? And like, I'm trying to think of all the people that could. And of course, stick with us on this channel, guys, because we're going to do a whole episode about Raw after Mania predictions and things like that, as far as returns and debuts. But just thinking about the ones off the top of my head before kind of jumping into it too much, I'm trying to think which of those people would come into it and face. You know what? I'm going to go for it. John Cena's winning.
Wow. All right, this is all right. So I made a prediction.
Go on.
I think a couple months ago about Cena and Theory being that's where we're going, because I said it was at Rumble, and I think because at Rumble I said Cena will come out, he'll throw out Theory, and that'll be the build. And I think I said either then or it was on the review that if they get this feud, there's only one person that should be winning. And I said it then, and I'm going to say it now. Austin Theory is retaining the US Championship. I think it has to happen. The person, it just, bro, can you just imagine the boos that he's going to get? You know, and even if Cena goes to do the handshake and then Theory does the "you can't see me" instead of shaking his hand, rolls out the wing, it's such good heat for a heel. It needs to happen. And I'm not the biggest Theory fan because I've not seen much of him. Like the stuff with Vince McMahon, it was annoying. Then he kind of got lost in this weird thing with Seth and Bobby. Like it was a love triangle with Seth and Bobby Lashley. You know, I want to see him go out on his own properly and do something. So yeah, I think now is the time for that to happen, especially after Mania going forwards. So my bet is Austin Theory is going to go. He's going to retain it. I think it needs to happen. I think for Theory's sake as well, because if he doesn't, he's going to get lost.
Yeah, look, I agree. I think although I've gone for Cena, I think it's just going for Cena because I think they know what people assume and they want to kind of work around that. But I agree with you in the sense that it should probably be Theory. And if you're talking long term, unless they are bringing in someone else on Raw, Cena winning it isn't very long term, of course, you know, even if he does lose the next day. So I don't want it to damage Theory. I just kind of, hey, man, I need to try and make it a point somehow. So I'm I'm Austin Theory. I'm John Cena, and you are going with Austin Theory, which I think, again, is the more likely winner. But, you know.
Yeah, I think the only way they could get past this is, let's say, for example, Cena wins, but I think what would be interesting, imagine if Cena won, but Theory's foot was under the rope. Just something like that. So they were like, no.
Oh, you've gone quiet. I can't hear you. I think it might be a connection thing because you kind of dropped and then. All right. We'll see if Rob has to jump out and come back in maybe.
I'm still. Oh, can you?
There we go. There we go. There we go.
I have no idea what happened there. Nothing changed on my end. Nothing come up. Yeah, no. So if the idea was, let's say Cena wins, but Theory's foot is under the rope or something like that, right? Or his finger or something like that. And then the next night, he's like, well, I didn't technically win it. So he offers the challenge to Theory and says, if you know, the title was on the line, let's go again. And then we get it again. Like, I'd be opposed to that. I wouldn't be irritated if they'd done it again night 2. So do night 1, then night 2. And then it's a way to kind of build that story. But it would be nice to, like, something comes out of it for Theory. Because I think if Cena wins, what does Theory get from this? Cena doesn't need this win.
Yeah, and like we say, if someone else comes in after it, passes on to that person benefiting from the whole thing, not Theory, which is kind of weird.
Which is the idea. So, yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so I get you. All right, well, that's Austin Theory versus John Cena. Like we said, should be the opener actually at WrestleMania on night 1. Now we're moving into another match that kind of involves legends and stars of today as well. This time we're looking at Becky Lynch and Lita, of course, the women's tag team champions, also with their buddy Trish Stratus, teaming up against Damage Control, Bayley, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai. Now, I got to say, Rob, this is another example of a match that's not just not been built in a way that I really hoped it would be, you know? So the only kind of thing I'm interested in with this match is that a lot of people think that Trish Stratus might turn heel.
Yeah.
And that I'm all for, you know, because the heel, you know, especially in the women's division, the women come back and they just play a copy and paste version of each other. They kind of lose what made them special in the first place. A lot of times it's just like Hall of Famer, blah, blah, blah. And they don't really have much of a character. They didn't get much mic time, back in their heydays. So it's understandable, but there's not much when they do their promos. There's not much to it. So if they're able to flex creatively by turning heel and having a bit of a run, of course, talking about Trish Stratus here, then I'm all for it. Now, the other side of that is Damage Control. A Oh, what a missed opportunity that's been.
Oh,
It was amazing when they come back. The next few months, there was a few kind of confusing finishes and booking decisions. But eventually we got kind of on track with Io and Dakota being tag champs. And then it switches over to Becky and Lita, which is cool for them, especially for Becky to hold the tag titles with an idol of hers. Must be an incredible feeling. Lita to be a champion again is great. But all the rumors seem to be it was going to go towards Ronda and Shayna, and that's why they were going on to even Lita and Becky to be a babyface team to face the heels. And obviously Chamber, there was stuff about what was it? Someone from Damage Control was injured, weren't they? So Trish come back a little bit later than expected, it seems. So it seems a lot of stop-starting with this storyline, and because of that, I don't think it's really ever got in its groove of like, why are we doing this? Why are you tag champs and it's a 3-on-3? What is that got to do with it? Why are the belts on either of you now? So it seems really thrown together. If you took those titles out of the equation and you just said this was the match, I'd be like, yeah, cool. I can get behind that. But the build for it has just been a little bit kind of underwhelming for me. And again, a common theme in these women's matches, and it's a real disappointing factor to WrestleMania for me. Again, do I think the match can perform? Yeah. Do I like every single person in this match? Yeah. But the build has just not kind of inspired me. Right, who's going first on this one, mate?
Mate.
All right, you ready?
No. I feel like you, to be honest. Like, I think the only thing that people were talking about would be the idea of Trish turning heel. But I think because it's now been so speculated, I don't see it happening.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's got a big, because if she turns heel, right? Let's say like she turns on Becky.
Yeah. What's it for? Where did we go with it?
Exactly. There
is
isn't
it a one-on-one, or is it a joining Damage Control as the new leader?
Mate, see, I'm not against the idea of Trish being are the titles on the line. They're not, are they?
I don't think so. No, there's no mention of it.
No, so I like the idea of Trish causing there being a reason, like she's the reason why they
exactly
lose.
Yeah.
And then there's like some cracks in it building up. Maybe there's the tag titles are on the line. Trish then causes them to lose. Bang, then she turns heel. But for her to turn heel at WrestleMania and have nothing to do with anything else, that still doesn't cost them the titles. We then get a feud with Becky and Trish, for example, and she's still a tag team champion. Like why would you have a tag team have a solo feud?
The titles
doesn't
just
make
been
sense.
Completely thrown into this. It's such a confusing aspect to it. You mentioned Trish turning heel there. It does remind me of one of my favorite WrestleMania heel turns is Trish Stratus with Christian kind of turning on Chris Jericho as well. One of my favorite areas of Trish as well. So look, I'm open to Trish being a heel, and again having a bit of kind of depth to a character, not just being the kind of Hall of Famer. Trish Stratus is back, that kind of thing. So I want to see it, but like you, I just don't know where it goes. But then again, I don't think they've known a lot in this storyline. So should we be surprised if it does go into a feud against Becky, where Becky's still tag champ? Yeah, that's what they could do though, because I think if anything, you'd go to Becky and Trish at SummerSlam, right? So for me, what you should do in the PLEs in between then is Becky and Lita are cost. She turns heel at Mania, Trish, and then to rub salt in the wounds, she costs them next month at Backlash. And then that gets the titles off of them as well, and they can go back to Damage Control or something like that. So, and even then, Bailey can kind of do this whole see Trish. I knew you were on the right side of things, and Trish is kind of ignoring her as well. So, I think that'd be a cool little way to do it. So. Yeah. I
mean, again, I'm not against that, but then I question, what was the point in taking the titles off Damage Control in the first place?
I think it was to not do. It weren't to do this match. I think this match was supposed to happen at Chamber.
It's just so clustered, isn't it? Like, it's so messy, the entire booking, and I just don't like it.
Confusion.
I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. Like, I understand she's with the legends and all that sort of stuff, and great. Like, I love that she's around there. And she's one of them. She's not just, she's not looking down as like, oh, I shouldn't be around them. she's embraced it. She's around them, and she could be in that zone at some point. You know, that level of Hall of Fame.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know, which obviously we want to see, but I just, you know, I mean, Damage Control, even when they're being marked, they're not under as Damage Control. There's just their names. So what? Are they no longer Damage Control? they just don't care.
Yeah,
and if they don't care, it doesn't make me want to care.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with the way they do these sort of bookings. But literally, to avoid all this sort of stuff, just let Damage Control win, so then we can get past this, because I don't want to see anymore. If it's going to be like this, I'd rather.
It's mad, isn't it? Because again, I know I love every single person in it, and I think I love the idea of Damage Control. I'm not opposed to it. You know, I'm not great on throwing together tag teams, but you know, it works. I like the whole dynamic between the legend and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just so disappointing. And even if there is the Trish turn, does it cause the loss, or does it happen after the match as well? We got a comment here from Richard Robles. I hope Zoe Stark costs Edge the match to help Finn Balor beat Edge. Wow, okay, interesting call there, Richard. We'll be getting to that match in just a moment, so stick with us, buddy. Thank you very much for your comment. And again, anyone watching live or on demand, we appreciate you joining us. But yeah, we're going to get into the Hell in a Cell match in a bit. Can't wait to talk about that. But yeah, what do you reckon, Rob? Like, is this a Trish turns heel within the match or outside of the match?
I don't think it matters. In the nicest way, because the talking point of this match then will be, Trish turned heel. It's not going to matter.
Either way, I guess Damage Control needs to come out on top for that to happen, right? So, more often than not, right, those kind of scenarios. Yeah, so I'm going to go Damage Control as well, and I think it should be Damage Control. If it's not for the titles anyway, then why not give Damage Control a win for once? You know, like, it'll be nice to see it. But yeah, there we go. Hopefully, the match will deliver where the storyline hasn't. Speaking of storylines, though, I have been a bit more impressed with the way this one's been built. And this is, of course, Drew McIntyre versus Gunther, the Intercontinental Champion, and Sheamus, the man to never win the IC title so far. Now, will we be seeing history made, or will we be seeing the reign of Gunther continue? It'd be interesting to see. I think the Drew McIntyre thing has kind of thrown a spanner in the works as far as Sheamus's claim. You don't think so? Okay. Okay. All right. Well. Okay. I'm first on this one, right?
Yep.
All right. So I noticed on the SmackDown that just took place at time of recording, it was Gunther saying, "Are you saying these guys could pin each other?" And I don't, you know, like they made that clear, and I would lose. And I was like, that's the way to protect him. That's the way to keep him undefeated. Then I was like, what's the point being undefeated if you ain't got the title? It's about the reign. The streak he's on isn't just about wins. It's about holding his title for a really long time. So I do think Sheamus is going to do it eventually, but I think Sheamus is going to do it in London at Money in the Bank.
At Money in the Bank?
Yeah. So,
I mean, maybe, but I'll let you do your explanation.
I think Drew's there to give Drew something to do, and it'll be a great match. I've enjoyed Drew as part of the Brawling Brutes pretty much on the periphery of it, at least. And even them, like the promo that Drew did the other day, saying, "Look, why are you taking it personal? Back in the day, we'd beat each other up and we'd have a beer afterwards." You know, like I like that they play up to their past and stuff like that. But for me, I think taking off Gunther now, look, a great moment for Sheamus. This is the way I look at it. Sheamus winning the title will be a fantastic moment either way. I think in London, it'd be better, where the focus is on him versus Gunther, like it was at Clash, not pinning Drew to protect like Gunther. I think the whole, like, no, it shouldn't be that. But look, I can see it. Don't get me wrong. Drew winning the title is the worst option out of all of them, because, you know, if you're not keeping it on the reign and letting it continue on Gunther, and you're not giving a big moment to Sheamus, putting it on Drew is just to kind of, okay, why? Like, what we're doing next with Drew? Not that I don't like Drew or anything like that. It's just like, do we need, like, where do we go from there? So for me, Gunther's got to keep the title, and I think that's still, maybe it's just my heart here.
So it's me, yeah?
Yeah, sorry, I knocked my mic there, but I was saying heart, not my head, but I think Gunther. We've also got a quick comment here again. Richard again. Spoiler: Drew might use the low blow on Sheamus to become IC champion to join the Judgment Day. Judgment Day beats betrays Dominik at Mania. Look, I think there's a possibility for Judgment Day betraying Dominik, and definitely we'll get to that in a bit. Drew during the Judgment Day doesn't really seem to make any sense for me, especially within this storyline. It doesn't really seem to fit. But interesting to hear your thoughts on that, Richard. I love the fantasy booking, by the way. I feel like we're playing like the WWE game here. We're just throwing people into stables and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't see. Look, the low blow thing, actually, I see that. I can see a Drew heel turn because that freshen him up as well. That'd be kind of cool. And the Drew McIntyre type figure with the IC title was still something good for the IC title. In that sense, I just if it's the Drew we've got at the moment, I don't see a point in it. So for me, it's got to be Gunther. Go on, Rob. What are you saying?
So I think that it goes back and forth. There's pins throughout the match. Obviously, there's false finishes, as you know, right? Obviously, there's 3 big men smacking each other's meat. That's
no, not smacking. You've messed that up. It ain't smacking each other's meat, mate. Careful, that's a different show.
You know what I mean, right? Smacking meat. Everyone a clay. But
we're meant to be going to Hollywood, not
Oh, sorry.
Not another word with H. The other. Go on. The hub. Go on.
Yeah, But this is what I want to see. I want to see Gunther hit his finisher on Drew. Right.
Okay.
Sheamus then bro kicks Gunther,
and he falls onto Drew.
He's standing there, and he has to make a decision. Does he pin Drew? Does he pin Gunther? So, I think we just see.
Okay. I like that.
Maybe he does. I don't want to say like a dual pin like Roman did, but if he puts an arm on both of them, and then one kicks out, the other one doesn't. So maybe Drew doesn't kick out, Gunther does. So Gunther still looks strong, but he's pinned Drew at the same time. Oh, you don't seem sure.
So Gunther's winning. Is that what you're saying? Gunther's the one.
No, Sheamus would win.
Sheamus is. Oh, but Gunther kicks out.
So Sheamus would hit the bro kick. Both Gunther and Drew would be down, right? So then Sheamus would do a dual pin, so maybe lay an arm over each guy, or something like that, or a leg over each guy, whatever, right? And then the ref does the double count. One kicks out at 2, the other one doesn't kick out at all.
I like the idea. I just don't know.
I think
that does,
because if he does it,
it's the storyline. I don't know if that's the story.
I just think if it happens, it's something that we haven't seen at Mania. Gunther's going to kick out of the bro kick, so it makes him look big. And then if we're moving it forward, like it was Drew didn't kick out, so then we can still throw Drew into the mix because Sheamus would then be the champion. There's going to be a feud with him and Drew. Gunther technically didn't lose it because he didn't get the pinfall. And it feeds back.
I mean, again, that promo on SmackDown where he was furious about that seemed important. But because has he lost on the main roster?
I don't think so.
Has he lost? No, he lost the UK title. But has he ever lost? Other than the UK.
I think
title.
when they done a tag match, I think he lost in a tag match.
Man, that's different.
But and as a solo competitor, I don't believe that he's lost. People in the comments or watching live, let us know. But I think Gunther's undefeated.
Completely. Okay. So I think, if you want to keep the undefeated streak alive, but you want to take the title off him at the same time, this is the way you do it. And that would mean because he's going to do something at SummerSlam or something like that, and he needed to get there undefeated. And the only person for that, I think, is to face someone like Brock to stop him or something like that.
I mean, I said, remember when we said about, no, God, no. Do you remember when we were talking about the Chamber? We was watching, we spoke about Rumble, and then we said going into the Chamber, it shouldn't have been for the US title. It should have been the IC Championship. And we could have had just 6 massive guys in there, just
slapping their meat, as you said.
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, that would have been fantastic because that would have been such a credibility to these guys are working for the IC title.
Yeah.
I literally, and I've said this before, I think if I want to see anyone win the IC Championship, and it's not Drew and it's not Sheamus, it's Brock or Cena, because Cena still hasn't held it in his career.
Yeah.
So that would make him a Grand Slam champion. But I want to see it to be Brock. So if Gunther retains and Brock's the next person, I'm all for it. I'm not against it.
It depends what's more important to him. Like I said, if it's Sheamus winning it is important to them, then I think that should take place at Money in the Bank 1-on-1 in a somewhat hometown crowd, just being that he's from Europe. You know what it was like, even at Clash, you know, it was in Wales, but everyone's behind Sheamus because, you know, he's from this side of the water sort of thing, you know, so and cut his teeth over here as well. So I think that's the moment for me. Now, because Clash should have been it, but for Gunther's sake, it shouldn't have been it, you know? So I think the way to get around it is to do it at Money in the Bank. So if that's what they want to do, that's how I see it going down. If they, as far as giving it to Sheamus, if it's about Gunther retain, like staying strong, but not necessarily with the IC title, then yeah, it's for one of the others to pin the other one. You know what I mean? And then the other thing is like, is it about doing something different with Drew? Is he turning heel? But then just to come over here in London, I think you're going to want Drew as babyface at that time. So, you know, he did carry Clash pretty much on his shoulders as far as the promo for it goes. You know what I mean? So, but then again, mostly smart fans are going to be going to it over here. You know what I mean? They'll be fine with a heel Drew. It will sell regardless. I find it really tough, man. But I think who's first?
Have
you really
remember.
been? Wait, who went for? All right, let me check. Last time, it's me going first. I'm going Gunther. Okay. I think it's got to be Gunther holding on to it for a little bit longer.
Oh, the thing is, it's got such a reign as the longest reign in the 21st century, right?
Yeah, but I think they wanted to beat Honky Tonk Man's reign as well.
See, again, I'm not against that because then whoever beats Gunther gets credibility for that because Gunther gets the longest title reign, and then whoever beats him gets something from that, you know? So again, I'm not against that at all. So it's hard. I think it's annoyingly the only person I don't want to see win the match is Drew. And I never thought I'd say that. You know, like in this situation at least. Bro, I really don't know. I mean, is there a stipulation? Because it's triple threat, is it no DQ?
Well, they technically are, aren't they? Triple threats, you know.
Normally,
you can't really, they just never really focus on it. So Gunther, as of right now, he's about on 290, and Honky Tonk Man is on 454. So he'd need to hold it for another 150 days. How many days till July the 1st? From today is 97 days. So it still wouldn't be long enough. So maybe it's not about
unless he holds it longer.
Yeah, maybe it's not about Sheamus winning it either. Either way, I think the most likely thing here is for Gunther to win. I think they've sowed the seeds to make us think, the champion doesn't have to get pinned. Because everybody think about protecting him.
If they talk about it that way, then I feel like, is that going to happen then?
Yeah.
Because it's too...
Because he kicked up a fuss about it. And like you said, a no DQ thing, you know, Imperium could get involved. So
also kind of Brawling Brutes.
Yeah.
It's only really Drew that hasn't got anyone.
Got any mates? His mates are sort of the Brawling Brutes as well. But, you know, he's fighting against him. So yeah, no, I think it's got to be Gunther, and I think it will be Gunther.
Yeah, whoever wins. Like I said, I don't really want to see it. Drew, if Drew wins, he needs to win it as a heel. I think that would be great going forward.
There needs to be a low blow, as Richard said earlier.
Richard said, and I don't mind that, but I don't know. I mean, other than if he does a low blow, I agree with Richard. I just don't want him joining Judgment Day. Like I just you know, I think that's the only thing I disagree on. But yeah, I'm gonna go Gunther. Because I feel like, as you said, Sheamus winning it at Money in the Bank is a bigger moment, especially for him, as you know. But
might not get that anyway. But I guess it. You know, we still are more likely, I think, to make Gunther look good because you got to think Gunther's reign as WWE UK champion was ridiculously long. It was incredible, but that title doesn't exist anymore. So already the things that people did,
the record he set is no longer Bob. No one cares.
Yeah, it can't exactly. They can't praise it and hype it up as much as they could have done if the title was still in existence. So it's a real kind of sticky one there. So I think they want people to, I think they're trying to replicate it on the main roster basically with the IC title. So, but I'm loving this, man. Look how many long, incredible reigns we've had lately, you know, not just like, just straight up with the numbers, but like just record breaking in other ways, you know, like Bianca Belair, you know, being African American, being up there with the highest reigns there as well, and people of the modern era, you know, the Usos and stuff like that, and Roman. And a few months ago, we had the Usos versus the New Day. New Day were trying to protect their longest reign and all that kind of stuff. Like it was, I'm loving all this stuff, and I think it's
good.
It always has a risk of turning stale, but I think they've walked the line quite well for a lot of it. So, but yeah, be interested to see how this match goes. Either way, man, I'm so looking forward to the match. I think it's going to be absolutely incredible. Like I said, the one in Cardiff was amazing. Adding Drew to the mix as well, I think it's going to be absolutely incredible. I love the work that all three of these guys put on, and really looking forward to seeing it. I think it has potential to be one of the matches of the weekend.
I was going to say, I don't want, obviously it's not a bonus point sort of thing, but a prediction, this could be match of one of, if not the match of the weekend.
Well, wasn't Sheamus and Gunther match of the year or like something like that? It's one of those kind of.
I think so. It was up.
I think it was, considered one of the best at least. But yeah, amazing. I got to watch it back on TV. Of course, I was there, so like you do get a bit of kind of, you know, hype of being there, and you think, was it really as good as I remembered? But I've seen a lot of people praise it since, so
it was good.
I definitely want to watch it back on TV and see what it looked like. But speaking of which, like we said, we were there at Clash at the Castle, and we did get to interview some of those guys we've just been talking about, namely Drew McIntyre spoke to us, had a great conversation with him, and also a representation of the Brawling Brutes here with Butch, aka Pete Dunne, and we spoke to two of the members of Imperium as well. If you haven't already, please check those out, and the other interviews that we got here on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. And we're going to be bringing you loads of WrestleMania content here throughout the week, not only around the show itself. We're going to go a little bit more in depth of beyond WrestleMania and kind of historic looks at WrestleMania as well. So stick with us. I know a lot of people say it all the time. We say it all the time. We've got a lot of exciting content, but seriously,
we've got some fun stuff.
We got some really fun stuff coming up this week. So if you're new here, please subscribe. If you haven't already and you've been here a few times before, welcome back. But once again, we'd love it if you would subscribe and stick with us. We really do appreciate all of your support and joining our little club over here on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. Let's move on to the next match. Talking about Judgment Day, one of the kind of most impressive members of the Judgment Day has been Rhea Ripley, and she challenges the SmackDown Women's Champion, Charlotte Flair. And as I was just kind of setting that up, Rob, I suddenly remembered she won the Rumble, and that kind of leads me to my first point. It's another example of a build that just hasn't been what it could have been. Frustrating. Now, I know they've kind of shaken it up a little bit lately with Charlotte, kind of changing up her kind of promo style and what she's saying. But again, this is why I was shocked that everybody thought Rhea was going to win and that she actually did win the Rumble. Because for me, the reason why we all like Rhea, and I keep saying it, is because of what she's been doing within the context of a stable around the men. And that meant she was in intergender matches and stuff like that. It wasn't about going after a women's title. And now suddenly she's going after a women's title. Yes, could that mean if the Judgment Day stay together, she becomes the only one with a title and she's kind of top of that group and they all kind of bow down to her like Dom already does? That would be great. Don't get me wrong. But the story they seem to be, well, the natural story to tell is, you know, up and coming kind of, well, she's not a baby face, but people like her. Don't get me wrong. Up and coming star, crowning moment at the big stage. Should have happened a few years ago, but the world went a bit crazy, you know, that's not really the story we should be telling about Rhea at this moment in time. The story at this moment in time it should be her versus Edge in Hell in the Cell, you know, something like that. You know, like, no, I'm joking. I'm looking forward to seeing Bálor, don't get me wrong. But again, Rhea has just been incredible because of her work within the Judgment Day. So like these are two storylines going on at once. I went on Give Me a Whole Year, friends of the channel, of course, with Dom been on here a few times before. If you haven't already, go check those guys out as well. And I did a SmackDown watch along, I think it was last week now, and we were talking about this with Rhea then, and the build to this match being a really difficult one. And again, great people, great performers, a great potential match here, but the story just hasn't been what it could have been. Richard says, spoiler. He loves giving us spoilers here. This is a Paul Heyman in the making, I feel, with Richard. It's not a prediction, it's a spoiler. Charlotte Flair beats Rhea Ripley, and then Rhea Ripley challenged Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's title. The only issue with that, though, is that like you couldn't get it done with Charlotte. What's to make it believable that you can go do it on the opposite brand? Like, and if she does then beat Rhea, beat Bianca? What does that say about Bianca? So it's a very sticky situation. What are your general thoughts on this match, mate? Before we do our predictions for it,
I'm not sure if I'm bothered. Honestly, I'm really.
I'm not either. Like, you know what I am? I want Rhea to win. I want her to have a great moment.
Yeah, like, to be honest, I think this is an easy. I think this is probably one of the easy ones. I think everyone wants Rhea to win because they just don't want Charlotte Flair as champion. They just don't care. Charlotte Flair is a horrible face and a great heel, but she's been such a great heel that she gets hated just for having the championship or being near it. And that's not a sort of heel that's not a sort of heat that you want as a heel.
No.
I mean, it's heat, but it's not great. It's not the heat you want.
And it's like, what happens with the title next? Again, mine is like, it's seen as kind of like, not a prop, but like, you know what? It could be really good for the women's title picture. If she wins it, she is seen within the Judgment Day as the leader, and the Judgment Day spend all their time protecting Rhea Ripley and keep it, like we see with Roman, and the Usos, and like you would see sometimes with a male wrestler and his female counterpart kind of pulling a leg and all that, kind of putting foot on the rope. But we see it with the men in the women's division. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, we kind of had that with Reggie though, and look how that went. And I mean, let's face it, can you see Finn Balor doing that?
No, and it'd have to be against certain stars as well. Yeah, Dominik, yeah. But like, it'd have to be against, like, it's your typical trope, Roman Reigns and the Bloodline, Adam Cole in the Undisputed Era. It would need to be, Rhea would have to be facing off against like top stars that you think.
Becky, Sasha,
Becky, Sasha, even Charlotte again. That you could in theory see beating up Finn and Priest. Like, they could sell it in some way, like that they are equals. Like, it couldn't be done with people who they don't promote in that way, like Carmella and stuff like that. So it would have to be those kind of challenges. But yeah, I like the idea of them kind of putting a lot of focus on the title because it goes into the Judgment Day. But then whether or not Judgment Day is a thing after Mania is another thing altogether.
As I said, there's been teases that they're going to introduce a new person to the Judgment Day. Whoever that is, I have no idea. But I love the idea of Rhea winning. And then when she comes out with the Judgment Day, obviously their color's purple. So she's purpled the title. And she makes it a Judgment Day title. Adds her own stuff to it. And it makes it like that. Because I think that'd be the first time that a title has actually been a part of an actual stable.
What do you mean, like the women's title?
Yeah.
I guess because Bailey hasn't even won it as with Damage Control, has she? So
no, it's only ever been tag teams.
Yeah, good point. You mentioned there members of the Judgment Day, of course. As we said, we did some great interviews a few months back, and I just want to bring up the one Damian Priest because he was talking about new Judgment Day members and stuff like that. So if you want to get the idea, the profile of the person, the kind of character that they're looking for to join the Judgment Day, that's a great interview where Damian goes into that as well. So yeah, check that out on the channel if you haven't already. But let's knuckle down, mate, and let's actually predict it. This time round, it is you going first, mate. Who are you saying is winning this one? Is it Rhea Ripley? Is it Charlotte Flair?
It's Rhea Ripley. I just want to touch on Richard's comment quickly. If Ripley was Money in a Bank and then she won the Rumble, lost to Flair, I would love to see her gone straight in and cash in on Belair. Like, that would be great because she couldn't win one, so she cashes in.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind.
It's a great heel move. Yeah.
Right. But
and it protects Bianca because she kind of didn't expect it.
Exactly. That's the only way that I would go, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I like the idea, but the definite Money in the Bank should have been involved if that was the case. But I don't know. I mean, Flair and Rhea Ripley have got a history. Obviously, Flair went to NXT, had the thing there. She done some stuff there. So obviously that's going to come up. And I think Dom was off doing his thing with Ray. Obviously, that's something we're going to talk on a bit later. Yeah. So a couple of the Judgment Day, I think the only one in the Judgment Day that isn't doing anything is Damian Priest.
Yeah, it's a real shame as well because he had a key focus on him in the chamber, of course. And I think going to Puerto Rico soon, they're going to have to do the same again. So
is he in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal?
Mate, I couldn't care less. I Unless if someone like that wins it, cool. But like, I see the graphic pops up. You see 20 faces in it. You go, cool. I don't pay attention to it. I don't care. You know, like, but again, that's
Lovely.
something they've made me not care. Like, I could care, just
But you don't.
make me care.
You don't.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm going Ripley, but I do have a theory. Obviously, we'll touch on all that as we go along. But I think this is one of many people from Judgment Day that will be winning at Mania.
Okay, all right. So Rob's going with Rhea Ripley. I'm going to be nice and quick with it, mate. I'm going Rhea Ripley as well, just because I think it has to be that way. I don't know where Charlotte goes after that, but hopefully somewhere better than she's been the last few weeks as well. Richard again says, Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Spoiler, LA Knight wins the Battle Royal. I can see that because LA Knight ain't doing anything at the moment on WrestleMania. I think I got a feeling. Let's quickly touch on LA Knight. I do have a feeling that he's going to have a moment with Stone Cold.
Yeah. What?
Don't you mean? Yeah.
What?
No, I think. Yeah, even that. Yeah. What? Yeah. What? I think that'll be a great. Oh, what? That'll be great. That'll be great. As much as the what chance to become annoying, I think that's a good way to use them.
Just to go off topic, what's more annoying, the woo chant or the what?
The what?
Nah, the woo. It's. I mean, I can tolerate a what because that's only
because
you can hear
like
woos
random.
everywhere.
Yeah, I like that. They're random.
It's annoying.
I know.
I hate. It's one of the most annoying things.
It starts building up. No, what's worse, man? What's worse? Because a lot of times it's in a place where it shouldn't be. You know, especially when it's the Hall of Fame and things like that.
Yeah,
but
I know that.
More coverage on this week as well. We're going to be going in depth on the Hall of Fame as well. So yeah, stick with us, guys. Right. So we both think Rhea Ripley, and but yeah, quickly, what do you reckon? Stone Cold and LA Knight? Do you see it happening? Not a match, but some sort of interaction.
Yeah, no, I'm down for that. I just think they need to. I mean, I'm assuming Austin's going to be there, right?
You know, imagine.
I don't know. I mean, it tends to be when it comes to WrestleMania, it's like every legend appears because it's just a sign in or there's a WrestleCon or something's going on. They're around.
They're in town, yeah.
Yeah, they're always in town. So I'm for it. If Austin, even if it's just a backstage segment, like it doesn't have to be anything.
You got to go to the ring.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, of course, man. You got the glass shatter and stuff like that, I think.
So I reckon the only way that'll work is if LA Knight comes out first and he starts doing his promo, then the glass shatters.
LA Knight is still a heel, so I guess it would be fine. But like to cement him, you kind of think because people are behind him, they kind of need to buddy up against someone. I think might be an option as well. But I can see both ways: 1-on-1 in a promo battle, or kind of the two of them against like a more solidified heel. No. The Miz,
Baron Corbin,
the Miz, or
the Miz. Yeah, the Miz is hosting.
Miz is the host. He's got to do something, right? There's got to be some sort of like special or particular moment with the Miz, probably with Maurice as well. And that could even lead into a feud for LA Knight with the Miz. That solidifies him as a babyface as well. So that'll be interesting to see. Richard, again, with another spoiler, says Bianca wins the WWE Raw Women's title, and then Zoe Starks join the Judgment Day, attack the EST of WWE. Yeah, so you're big on Zoe Starks coming up and joining the Judgment Day there, Richard. I know you mentioned it, of course, earlier on with the Hell in a Cell as well, which we'll get to in a moment. But I see a common theme here with your predictions. Right, let's move on to the next one. Again, thank you, Richard, and anyone else that's watching live or on demand. Get your comments in, guys. Let us know what you think is going to happen at WrestleMania. What match are you most looking forward to as well? We'll be interested to hear them. Let's move on to the next one, and it does bring up the Judgment Day once more. That's because we've got the Judgment Day leader against the leader of the Grit Couple, I guess. Well, then again, they're equal parts.
I hate that name.
No, I don't mind it. We've got Edge facing off against Finn Bálor in a Hell in a Cell. Now, I've seen two different schools of thought on this one. Like, it's a lot of people saying great. Yeah, like makes Hell in a Cell feel important. This is a feud that's been going on for ages, and it should end with a big thing. So therefore, it makes Cell important. But a lot of people saying Cell is so diluted, even though we're not getting it as a PLE anymore, that it's I guess a bit too soon, and we're still already feeling like ugh, and like this match doesn't deserve it. I don't agree. I think this match does deserve it, even if the feud itself has gone stale and it's gone on for a very, very long time. it's been a blood feud for the most part, you know. So I really do think Hell in a Cell is good. Can it get lost in the shuffle? Is it a risk like it is within the pay-per-view calendar? Yeah. But at the same time, look, we had Shane McMahon versus Undertaker Hell in a Cell a few years ago. We had Undertaker versus Triple H in Hell in a Cell a few years ago, and they stood out quite well within the card as well. So yes, a 2-night WrestleMania might get lost in the shuffle a bit more. This Hell in a Cell should probably be the main event, but it's not going to be. No, I'm just saying a Hell in a Cell, that stipulation should be a main event match.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So that's a bit of an issue. But look, the main event caliber wrestlers, if we get treated to a main event style match in the middle of the card, mate, that's just bonus points for us. You know, we get a good WrestleMania out of it. So I'm really looking forward to this match. I got to be honest. So I've been loving what Finn's been doing within the Judgment Day. Always got time for Edge. He can get a bit stale every now and then, but I think they've been playing it quite well with him lately. And yeah, we're finally getting to the end of it. I know you have been calling for this feud to be over for what feels like about a year, but I think we're getting there. With that in mind, let's get into predictions. Yeah, it'll be me first, right? So I think, Edge Finn Balor. I think Edge has got to win it. I think he's got to end the feud because of all the stuff that's happened to him. And the whole point of this was that they kicked him out of Judgment Day. So he's got to end in style. So yeah, I think Edge, you could argue that Edge doesn't need a win and all this stuff like we do many times about Edge being a legend. But then also there's the other side of it where everybody assumes that the Demon's coming back, and for the Demon to lose again after the last time where the turnbuckle gave way and we never got a reason for it, that'd be kind of crappy as well.
Is that when he flopped like a fish?
Yeah, he flopped like a fish.
He flopped like Magikarp.
Yeah. Second thing of Hell in a Cell matches, Zoe Stark sends a message to Edge after the match to call Best Phoenix a small bird. What?
What's the smallest bird? A pigeon? A robin?
Yeah, is that a hint or something? I'm missing that.
Are we getting this thing back? Is it the crows?
Yeah. Right. Oh man, I'm kind of torn actually. I thought it'd be simple with Edge, but
are you thinking about the small bird thing? Or are you thinking about the match?
No. I mean with the Edge situation, because I think it should be Edge because of the feud, but at the same time, Balor losing as the Demon again is probably not great either.
That's even if we get the Demon.
I think we will. Again, look, hey, I hate to, well, I don't hate to, but it's just one of those things to plug our interviews again. But when I spoke to Finn a few months ago, he was talking about being a heel and the future of the Demon. And he did mention this kind of being a different part of his character. And when it was right to bring back, it will come back. And I feel like, if I'm honest, he probably doesn't feel like this is right. I feel like if he does it, I think Edge has talked him into it, because I think Edge would like, because of the way Edge's character is, you know, and he's the dark side, and I do think Edge is probably going to come out in some sort of version of the Broody, as well. Broody,
British. There's no way to say that without sounding weird.
Yeah, so that will happen. But I mean, as the feud, Edge should win the feud, but the Demon Finn Balor should win the match. But I'm gonna go for. Because we've got so much Judgment Day stuff going on throughout the night, I don't think they need to win everything. So I'm going to say Edge is going to win this one.
All right. So I think opposite. And Finn Balor is going to be victorious.
Okay.
I don't know how. I really don't know how. If we get Brood Edge, then we get obviously Demon Finn Balor, which then leads me into, I think, my question for you, Scott, which is you love Finn Balor when he comes out as a Demon. You especially adored him when he came out as Jack the Ripper when that was in London. We got the NXT takeover over there, or over here. Obviously, you're a big fan of all that, and you love the history of London. So those of you who don't know, that's why. If he does come out as a Demon, what character is he coming out? Because
see, that's
don't forget.
That's
it's got there's royalties and all this sort of stuff happening, and legal stuff. So
yeah, I mean, Rey Mysterio come out as the Joker WrestleMania before, so I think. Look, I think if he's coming back as Demon Finn Balor, it needs to be Judgment Day demon. It's kind of annoying that it is in Hollywood because that's another great thing as well.
Or if you could have a dream one, the one that you really think would happen that can't
It'd
happen.
have to be a horror character, wouldn't it? So it'd
It's
have to be
gotta be.
horror. He's done. Look, I know he's done certain ones before. He did even in NXT, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Mhm.
I think Michael Myers.
Do you reckon? I was going to say maybe Ghostface because Scream 6 come out.
Oh,
recently.
yeah, maybe Ghostface. That's a good shout actually. Speaking of
sort,
which,
yeah.
check out our Rebellious Noise Scream 1. We have a film and TV channel where myself and Rob we did a watch along for Halloween a little while ago as well. We are using a lot of the materials here from that channel on this channel today because of course
same brand. It's fine.
Yeah. This is WrestleMania Goes Hollywood, but so do the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. Again, earlier on, I pointed out our lovely red carpet that I'm sitting on as well to get us in the mood for WrestleMania. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us here on the red carpet to WrestleMania rather than the road to WrestleMania. But yeah, I think Michael Myers or Scream's a good shout to tie in with something that's current. That's a really good shout to be his Ghostface. Who do you reckon he'd come out as?
So I was thinking Ghostface, but I'm just thinking royalties. But I think there's got to be. I reckon they're going to do something because obviously the 2K23 has come out recently. Obviously, that's causing huge waves right now within the wrestling community, especially create a wrestler and all this sort of stuff. So I think whatever they do, you can bet by the next day we'll have that as Finn Balor. So I think WWE are going to cash in on that, and obviously that's going to be a downloadable player when they do like the October theme and all that sort of stuff like that. So I think they're planning it. I really don't know, but I think they're using it as a marketing ploy. What they do next.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to it. Like we said earlier, Scream, I guess, fits at the time as well. It is very current. So yeah, why not? And yeah, they've done all this Hollywood stuff. It would be silly to kind of give up on it here. I'm so looking forward to the set, the stage, and things like that. But guys, we'll be digging deep on that on the night of WrestleMania, the first night at least, especially when we have the build-up show. If you haven't been here so far for one of our build-up shows before, basically what it is on the night, we go through last-minute predictions. Of course, me and Rob are locking our predictions in now, so we won't be able to change them. But basically, it's a way to get yourself and ourselves hyped up for the big PLE, and of course, like you need hyping up for WrestleMania, but we're going to do it anyway. And then, of course, after that as well, we're going to hopefully try and be back with instant reactions, recap, and reviews and stuff like that. So stick with us here on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel for that. In the next few days as well, don't worry, guys. I know I'm plugging some things here, but we're not quite done with the stream just yet. But I do want to tell you that we've got the regular predictions and preview episode coming up in a few days as well, courtesy of Dan and Lucas, who are going to be coming at you with their picks to the matches we've been talking about now. So give them a little watch in the week as well. That'll be on Tuesday night. So please stick with us. But yeah, we are here on the red carpet red carpet preview, I should say, for WrestleMania. And with that in mind, I think it's time, Rob, to move into our next match. And that's gonna be man, I did all that hype and now I'm kind of
What do you mean? What do you mean?
It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, again, everyone, like, the match, would it be good? Maybe. Does it matter? No. It's not a number one contenders match. It's not a title match. It's not even on the pre-show where it should be. Like, if it's not for any of those things, and if it's a payday.
Why are you getting so angry? Why are you getting angry?
It's the same with the women's match. If they're not, like, if it's about the WrestleMania payday, then cool, have it on the pre-show. Or, like, put a ladder in it, or, like, something.
Yeah.
Like, why is it just, again,
or just put it for, they should have put it as a contract. A ladder match.
It should be a number one contender match, but because they don't know what's going on with the Usos, and because the women's one, the titles aren't even being defended, I guess that's why. Like, because when this got announced, the Usos match against Sami and KO hadn't been announced, so I thought, well, that's why they're not calling it yet, but it will be. Because I was like, how can you call that number one contender match and then people who aren't number one contenders get a match? Because it hadn't been announced yet. They hadn't done the big hug. But now they've done the big hug and that match is going on. Just announce this as number one contender. Like, make it mean something. But it doesn't mean anything. So, yeah, really frustrated with that. But anyway, will the match be good? Probably. Do I like a lot of the people in it? Alpha Academy, especially with the OT stuff going on.
Well, I was about to say, that's even if he's there. With the OT stuff, he might not even get there.
Exactly that. But what we're looking at is Braun Strowman and Ricochet. I do like that team, actually. The Street Profits, always good to see them against Alpha Academy and the Viking Raiders. Now, I think I'll keep this one short and sweet because it's a match that doesn't matter, like I say. So the point will be to make the team look good that you want looking good going forward. And I reckon that's probably the Street Profits, the feel-good factor. So, yeah, because it's not going on to anything after this at the moment, I reckon Street Profits.
Yeah, it should have definitely been for a number one contender match at least, or just have the opportunity for them to have the number one contender match as
make
on
it
a ladder.
mean something, man.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know yet. It could still happen by SmackDown.
Maybe
it could happen.
And if that is the case, we'll have to redo
when.
our picks because it does change everything.
I don't think it will, because even if it does go forward,
You're
Street
still picking the
Profits
same
are winning this match. Yeah,
You're
I
doing
would
the
still
same.
pick the same.
Okay.
But I just want to say Montez Ford and Ricochet. I think I've got this idea of them both doing a double splash at the same time on two other people.
On the
even if it's
Raiders.
on the Viking Raiders.
Yeah.
Or are they still called the new Viking Raiders
or
now?
the War Raiders, what they're called?
What are they called?
The Viking Raiders. There we go.
Yeah, so I can see Ricochet and Tez doing the big moves at the same time, and obviously that'd be a great visual for WrestleMania. So
yeah, just look, put a clause on the match, or
please
chuck a ladder in there or like something, and then I'll be behind it a little bit more. Richard says there will be 4 heel turns at Mania and 3 face turns. You get very specific here, Richard, with your face turns and heel turns. That's a lot of changes. I don't see him doing that many. I know it's 2 nights and there's a lot of matches, but I think in order to make them mean something, to do that many might be a bit of a risk. But interested to hear your thoughts there. I know you've mentioned some of them already. Of course, you reckon Drew might be turning heel as well. But yeah, there we go. We've done that match there as far as the 4-way. At time of recording, guys, this one hasn't been solidified just yet. But we're looking at Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Natalya and Shotzi versus Ronda and Shayna versus probably another 2 people that are thrown together as well. So we'll talk about that on the build-up show in a few days, and we'll make our predictions for that one there.
I mean, in fairness, I already have my prediction, but
okay, fair enough. But yeah, you can hold on to it for a bit, mate. What we'll do now, though, we're going to move into a match that has been in the making for a long time, and of course I'm talking about Rey Mysterio versus Dominik Mysterio, fellow luchador here, Rob. It is going to be a big one. I'm really looking forward to this because look, Dom has got better and better the past few years. Character work, oh my goodness, so much better. Just getting a chance to be a heel, and that happens a lot of times when people are cutting their teeth in the industry. First time they get to be a heel is the first time you really get to see who they are as a performer. But in-ring stuff has got better and better as well. And I think if there's anyone, we say it over the years, Matt versus Jeff and Edge and Christian, okay, not just kayfabe brothers there, but best mates growing up, they would have had these matches and practice against each other quite a lot. So if there's anyone that Dominik Mysterio is used to wrestling, it's his dad. I am very excited for this match. I think Ray's going to want to make Dom look like $1 million, regardless of the finish. Now, there's always been talk about this match for about 2 years now, mate. Like since Dominik stepped up into the main roster, and the idea was like one day it might be where he gives him the mask. It might be a kind of a retirement match. Instead, it doesn't look like we're going that way. Ray's going to be kicking about for a little bit longer, it seems. Instead, they've gone for Ray didn't want to kind of step up to the match. He didn't want to fight his son, which again, I think has been a good way to play it, to be fair. And he literally, as a recording just a few days ago, finally snapped and kind of took it out on Dominik and said, you know what, you want to fight Mania? Let's go. So because it's all been kind of done last minute, even though we kind of knew this was coming for quite a while, the writing was on the wall sort of thing. It's not going to be a retirement match. They're not throwing that in there yet. No. So that kind of way of booking, fantasy booking I've always had for this is that Ray retires and he gives Dominik Mysterio his mask. Dominik wins. He starts wearing it maybe as a babyface, and he turns into a babyface. At the end of this match, they hug and embrace, and the Judgment, they turn on him a la NWO turning on Hollywood Hogan at WrestleMania 18. That's the way I've seen this for quite a while. Even pre-Judgment Day, that's the way I saw it as far as Rey and Dominik. But now with the Judgment Day, I think that's another aspect. And I think that could still happen, actually. I just don't think it's a 100% passing the torch because Rey's not retiring, it seems. But either way, man, really looking forward to this one. I've really enjoyed the build. The moment when he turned heel at Clash was amazing, you know, like it was the crowd roared. It was absolutely amazing. Richard Roble says Wendy Chu might have faked the injury and might turn heel on Indy Hartwell. And also we've got Andrew Swells. Andrew, thank you very much for joining us, mate. What do you think Dom stands on the most improved character in WWE history? Hey, in recent history, maybe at the top of the list. In WWE history overall, there's a lot to compete with, but I think he's been incredible, man. I like I said, his character work alone has been great. His in-ring work's been steadily getting better anyway. But again, giving someone the chance to be a heel gives them a chance to spread their wings and kind of like. And I like that it hasn't just straight up been about Rey. It's been a background storyline. It's been played out on social media. Do you know what I mean? The Halloween kind of
Thanksgiving
and Thanksgiving and New Year's and Christmas and whatever else they were doing. You know, I think it's just been so good to kind of long it out the way they have. You know, so really enjoyed it. And Andy, thank you very much for joining us, mate. Much appreciated. Of course, you would have seen Andy here on the build-up shows, and hopefully we're going to have him on a few more streams in the future. Andy's off to WrestleMania soon, and I'm very, very jealous. So hope you enjoy it out there, buddy. And thanks for popping by again. Rob, what are you thinking, mate, as far as Andy's question there, as far as most improved wrestler, Dominik Mysterio?
So this is controversial. I don't want to get stick for it, but I would say there is because I am never controversial on this show, as you know.
No, you always try and keep it calm.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people that can either get the moment of, like, I won't say most improved because some people improve gradually, right? But when it comes of terms on legacy of a family member being so good that you then, as a next generation, have to do something well, it doesn't happen a lot. And a lot of people have to be heel first. Now, I think if we're going to look at people that had to do that, The Rock came in as a babyface, got hated, then became the bad guy, and was awarded of Rocky die chance, and then he turned on and became The Rock, and now he's one of the most electrifying men in all of of entertainment, as he likes to say. I'm not saying Dom's going to be in that position, but I mean, there's a comparison there. The babyface turn is going to be big. The babyface turn is going to be mega.
This is the thing as well. We always say this, sometimes it's about timing. And unfortunately, I think if this was, it would be a better storyline if Rey was retiring. And it would be better if Dom had been heel for like a bit longer. Because, I think this would be a great moment. I do think it could go towards that Judgment Day. I still feel like that might happen. But I'm definitely with you in the sense that, sometimes you've got to break away from the family thing by going heel. And then people embrace you as legitimately part of that family or as good as your family. Do you know what I mean? When you do turn back. So, I definitely see where you're coming from there. All right. Who goes first on predicting it?
Me.
Is it you? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Step
up. Dom's winning. It's your face. Exactly the reason why Dom is winning. Imagine, so we've had this conversation, right? Do you want to touch on the thing that you said about the Hall of Fame to do with Rey? Oh, it could be.
Okay, yeah. So we haven't actually mentioned we spoke about this in person, didn't we? We haven't.
Yeah, man. We had a fun day out, didn't we?
We did. We got a few great videos coming your way because of it as well. So please keep an eye out for that on this channel. But yeah. During that day, I said to Rob that I think, and this is unrelated to who's going to win the match, but I think at the Hall of Fame, Dominik's going to attack Rey. And usually I'm against that, blurring the lines of real life and storyline. Like when it's a jokey kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge, as I always like to say, like when they boo the person that's been shot, like, the person kind of calls them out or whatever else. Like when Undertaker and Shawn Michaels were around and stuff like that. Then and John Cena a few times, that's fine. But I don't like making the Hall of Fame like pretending, like mixing up real life and storyline. I really hate it. But if there's ever a time to do it, it is now. And I think for Dom, because the the thing is, Dom's going to be there, real life, behind the scenes, so proud, so happy, but they can't show it because although, like I said, I don't like that when they
It'll
merge
break
it,
that Mania moment.
It'll be too much if he was sitting in the audience. So I don't think he will be in the sense of like actually supporting him. I don't think that'll be the case. So what they need to do is if you are going to use him, you can't do it like that anyway. He's either going to have to be backstage hidden for kayfabe purposes, like The Undertaker used to be, or use it. And I think this is the one time where I've ever felt happy straight up using it. And Dom attacks Rey Mysterio and ruins his speech. Like they get the real speech over and done with. Like done. Ray, like Dom comes out, makes it look like, you know, we're in two minds at this point. We're thinking, oh, this is real. So like they're gonna hug. And then he just does whatever he's gonna do. Like, and then that's it. Like everybody, like Judgment Day's there or something like that. They break it up like that, and Judgment Day aren't there for the rest of the night. And they use that one moment for storyline, and then they get rid of it. You know, that's what I want to see. And then they use it in the promo package, and then you've got the best of both worlds. When you want to show Ray's genuine thing, and in 10 years, 5 years time, you know, there'll be pictures of them backstage hugging with the ring and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And it'll be okay because it'll be like kayfabe, whatever. Storyline's long gone. But at this moment in time, I think you can use both. And I think they can use the footage. Imagine that, mate, in the build-up kind of promo package. Or like even like just to promote watching the Hall of Fame, because we all know it ain't as kind of big as it used to be. And we're going to get into that later this week. But yeah, just kind of helps promote the Hall of Fame. They get the actual clips of Ray actually accepting it and being whatever, and then they can use the other clips of Dom attacking him for WrestleMania. And I just think again, I feel weird saying it because I usually hate this sort of stuff, but man, I so want it to happen at the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think it needs to happen. And if Andrew just dropped a comment, which literally, as I was about to say, which if they want a huge heat, Dom needs to make a point of trying to rip Ray's mask off at Hall of Fame. Nuclear heat.
Yeah, because not only attacking him and ruining the moment, but like to take them, like if there's ever a time that Ray shows his face on TV, like it's either got to be to give it to Dom, which could still be the case, or could be the case in the future, or it's going to be disgraced by Dom. And I think, yeah, at the Hall of Fame, to say not only did you ruin my Hall of Fame, but you know, when all the eyes were on me, it was my moment. You know, the worst thing you can do to a luchador and all this stuff, like it just gets better and better. I mean, again, it digs deeper into what I don't usually want to see at the Hall of Fame, but like again, I'm willing to let it go this time. I really do want to see it.
I'm all for that. I'd love to see Dom as a part of the Hall of Fame. Even just them little like things of Ray's going in, all of Ray's family's there. There's a seat there for Dom, empty. Things like that,
little touches like that.
Little touch like that, even though it's not going to be a big
deal. Because even that, like the swerve, of, like I said, like he walks out and people think he's there to. He got like, even though we're tomorrow, like, or maybe even looks like Ray can even be like, look, we'll call it off, which of course the audience are going to boo and whatever. But like Ray's trying to look like the noble guy.
And then that happens.
And even the hug, even if we get the hug, and then he hits him. Oh man, I can't. Yeah, I can't.
But
wait.
yeah, I want to see that happen, and obviously, but I think for all this to happen, in my opinion, Ray then can't win because it will defeat the purpose of what they're trying to do with Dom. So if that happens, I think Dom has to win, and this is why I'm thinking when Ray does retire, we get that moment what you said about the mask and all that stuff. But now we're at the final one where we've obviously it's Ray and Dom to do a Judgment Day. I think Judgment Day are doing a clean sweep of winning every single match that they're in, which is why I think
I wouldn't be against it. Yeah,
which is why I think, and he called him Punishment Martinez then. Jeez, which I am, yeah. Which is why I think Priest is going to win the if it's the Battle Royal, which is why I think he's going to win that. So all of them have got.
It's on SmackDown, but it's part of WrestleMania.
You know, something like that. So that's what I think. But I think it's going to build that way. Dom's going to get the win. He's going to cheat to win. And this rivalry is going to build SummerSlam. Maybe we get that moment at SummerSlam.
Yeah, because you're right. We could get both. Because my big thing is that, like, Dom, I think that the visual of Dom being honorable and being like, this is my dad, and then like getting over and then even more over because the Judgment Day abandoned him would be amazing, just like NWO Hollywood Hogan, like I said, but it doesn't feel the right time for it, and it also doesn't feel the right time to retire Ray. So to do both would be great, whether it be at the next WrestleMania or it be at SummerSlam, like you said, then that would be great if we can get the best of both worlds.
Even
go on.
I would say going as far as Survivor Series, and it's the Judgment Day versus a team of Ray's lot, and then Dom gets turned on. It's something like that. Something like that happens. So Dom is now on his own, and it's him, or on the build up to Survivor Series, Dom gets kicked out of Judgment Day. Then he teams up with Ray, and then we get that, and then we get the mask moment and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Then they have their final match. But I think that something has to be there. I don't think we can have this great moment of, we can have the moment of Ray being a Hall of Fame. But then if we're going to go back to what's happening with Dom, we can't have both things. Like it won't work.
And I want to see more of Dom as the heel. I want to see more of the Judgment Day. So although, like you say, these things are great, they're not, maybe don't align time wise, and there is a way where we can do both. So I think I'm just fantasy booking with my heart rather than my head. But on both sides of that. But I think I'm going to go with you and say Dom as well. And I think Dom should win. Whether it is, if it was Ray's retirement, Dom should win because he should retire him. If it's Dom kind of turning face by being turned on by his mates, he should win the match first. No, well, I guess no. The argument, the thing I was saying originally was that he loses the match and they don't like it, or he wins the match and he just embraces with his dad or whatever it is, So, but I'm gonna go with you, man. I'm gonna say Dom's gonna win this one. But either way, man, really, really excited to see this match. Like I said, not just the storyline. I think the storyline's been fantastic, but the match itself, I think is going to be a really, really good one as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Here. Right, let's move on, Rob. Another one I'm looking forward to for the spectacle of in-ring kind of going wild versus Logan Paul. What are you thinking about this match? Are you as excited as I am? Because I really do think that Logan's going to pull something out of the bag here. I know there's still people out there that question him, and there are still people that don't like him, maybe as a person and things like that. But as a performer, I think he's just been undeniable. And I think leaning into naturally being a heel has been good. And it's turned Seth into a babyface that he's naturally been becoming anyway. So I think it doesn't quite align, though. Some of the things that Seth's been saying, like, oh, you don't belong here. And I don't know, it feels a bit strange, a bit too quick. Since Seth's been a mega heel all this time, you'd think he would have aligned himself with Logan a few months ago. But for Seth to say, you're making a mockery of this business, it seems a bit of a weird character to do it. But at the same time, when he was at Clash and he was asked that question at the press conference, by our buddy who came on the build-up show, Alistair, great moment where basically Seth was like, "You saying I don't take it seriously because I dress like this?" Like Seth was very adamant to be like, "Look, I can have fun and take this serious." I think that was a mixture of character and real life there coming out. But yeah, he's still, traditionally speaking, he's not the kind of guy to go to Logan Paul, "Hey mate, take it a bit seriously" when he's doing the stuff that Seth does. But at the same time, the match itself, mate, really looking forward to it. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think this could be potentially one of the matches of the night again. This is another one that's up there. As I said, there's like 3 or 4 that are there. We've already spoke on one, which is Sheamus, Drew, and Gunther. I think this could be another one. Roman, Cody, obviously, and then Usos versus Sami Zayn and KO. I think those 4 could have got potential to be matches of the whole of WrestleMania. But this match itself, I like the way it's going, and I think there's going to be a big moment, but I don't know who for. So Seth has had his WrestleMania moments. Obviously, we've had the Heist of the Century, which was one of my favorite WrestleMania moments. On exactly the same show before that, we got the one of my opinion, the greatest RKO ever performed, which was the curb stop into the RKO, which in my opinion, again, is better than the Evan Bourne one, because Randy didn't do anything for the Evan Bourne one other than kind of hop. That was it.
Yeah, no, but the timing's still incredible.
Timing, fine, but come on now, the curb stomp to the Evan Bourne one.
I love him both, but
curb stomp for me is better. So like Seth's had moments. He's had a lot of great moments. And I think if you're going to be paired with anyone at WrestleMania to make a great WrestleMania moment, it's Seth Rollins. so
Yeah, yeah,
something
and then
great.
on the other side of that, Logan Paul, great moment against Roman Reigns where he filmed going for the announce table. Great moment at the Rumble with Ricochet as well. So
yeah.
I think you're right, man. We're going to see something spectacular in this match between these two. I don't know what it is. It's like that time when Kevin Owens against Seth Rollins jumped off of the WrestleMania side.
Oh, yeah.
So I think, I think you're right, man. Seth's been involved in a lot of them. Logan's been involved in a lot of them. We're bound to get a big moment together.
Yeah. I'm not sure what it's going to be, but I know one's going to happen. And I think if we don't get one, I think we'd be kind of let down that we didn't get a big moment. But I don't know. I really don't know who's. I think this is the only other hard one for me to call and go. I'm not sure because Seth winning, great, it's good for Seth. But Logan winning, he gets nuclear heat. What's next for Logan? Because I think if we're going that way, Logan's gonna need a title. And I don't want to say that, bro, he's going to need a title.
Maybe he's the one that, like, if Cena wins,
imagine
that would be bad, man. Like,
I mean, him going against
Cena anyway, but
next.
then to not have Cena built, but then Cena versus Logan Paul needs to be on a marquee advertised for months.
Yeah.
You know, like
I would say Logan versus Theory. Logan gets the US title.
Yeah, but that's heel versus heel now, isn't it? It doesn't work. So,
but everyone a baby face.
I do think Logan's going to have a title eventually. So,
if he is, when we talk about celebrities that have gone into wrestling, he's probably the best celebrity to go into wrestling and be that good.
You know what? The other one, of course, is
Bad
Bunny, and we're getting into Puerto Rico territory soon as well. So he's got to do something soon. So I wouldn't mind betting he's going to pop up WrestleMania as well. Going to quickly get to some of these comments before we kind of solidify our votes here for this match. We've got a few kind of here we go. One sec. Am I right? Yeah, here we go. Right. Richard again says Dom versus Ray might end in a no contest where Carmella tells them to stop and Dominik hits Carmella with a kick and Rey Mysterio retreats. Where's Carmella coming from on this, Richard? Why Carmella? I don't understand. These spoilers are getting crazier. We had another one here as well for Wesley.
Are you sure it's not just Vince? Vince is watching.
Ilya Dragunov and then hugs him. And then Dragunov wins NXT North American Championship. And speaking of North American Championship, we've also got Andy saying as well about the match of the main roster as far as what we just spoke about potentially with Seth and Logan Paul. But he's saying, but the match of the weekend should be the 5-way North American title match. Yeah, so hopefully we're going to be getting to cover a bit of NXT on this channel as well over the next few days.
Do you think?
Go on.
This match or the NXT main title kind of thing or the North American, one of them should be highlighted and spotlighted at WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's like back in the day where they flirted with putting the NXT title on WrestleMania as well.
It should be, man. It's important.
It's not what though. It's not what it was.
It's not what it used to be.
That's the only thing. Yeah,
that is the problem.
Also, Andy said as well about depends on match order, but surely Dominik will be coming out of Rhea. Yeah, I'd imagine so as well. But like you say, it really does depend on match order. And I think the same thing was kind of the case with was it Royal Rumble or Chamber? We got the same sort of way with that as well.
Did you say it really depends on a match order?
Wow, what a terrible pun that was.
Yeah.
Also, Seth Rollins wins. Logan Paul is a sore loser. Becky Mantle stands Logan Paul would have been a Maybe, Richard. Thank you, mate, for your comments. As always, again, whether you're watching live or on demand, we do appreciate you joining us and appreciate your comments. Let us know what you think is going to happen at WrestleMania and what you're most looking forward to as well. But let's get back to the match at hand, mate. Let's talk about who's actually going to win the match between Seth Rollins and Logan Paul. A spectacle either way, I'm sure. The winner, though, Seth's lost a lot in the past year or so. So
yeah, but he can afford to lose it because the crowd are behind him now.
I know, and they're really behind him now. So, and even if it's a storyline thing for Steph to go, look, I didn't buy a kid, but like you earned my respect. You know what I mean? Even if it's something like that, even though Logan's now going fully heel, it seems where he wouldn't really take that anyway. It's kind of a tough one to call. I think I could see either one, but I think I guess one side of it is to look at it as like, oh, the outsider, but he's not though. He's got a contract. Shouldn't be winning at WrestleMania over the person that's there every week. But that part's true. Seth is there every week. So Seth kind of feels like he needs to go forward into something with a win in that sense. But like you say, does he really need to when the crowd is so behind him? So the TMZ kind of clickbait is going to be the fact that Logan Paul did something spectacular, not that he won.
No.
It will be that he won when he wins the title. So for that reason, I mean, he lost to Roman, but that made sense. So you can have
he beat the Miz.
He beat the Miz. Eventually, like they keep saying he impresses. That's because we know because he's performing. But to on screen say he's impressing isn't going to make sense if he keeps losing. So he kind of needs to win soon.
Yeah.
I mean, losing the Rumble is not really losing because there's 29 other people in it. So I guess he could afford one more big loss. So I'm going to go. Now I'm trying to get into backstage politics in my head. How did they sell this match to Rollins? Does Rollins see big appeal in it because he thinks I'll be in the limelight? I'll be the one on TMZ, like Sami Zayn did. A lot of people think he wouldn't have liked the Jackass thing, but he absolutely loved it. I loved it as well.
It was great.
Is Seth looking at it like that, or is Seth looking at it like, all right, I'll do you a favor, but like I'm going over? Because that's what the storyline is, isn't it? Like he doesn't like Logan Paul. So is that true? This is really tough, man. I think the winner's gonna be. Do you know? Have you like? Is it easy to you?
No.
Okay.
So this is my mind. This is my fault. I don't know if this helps you.
Okay, that's very kind of you. You shouldn't have to, but
so look,
we are competing in the table
here. We are, but you know, if Logan wins, it's a bigger deal, right? But I think, as you said, the thing that's going to be clickbaited is Logan wins the title, or YouTuber wins the WWE champion. It's going to be something like that. If Seth wins, he beat Logan Paul. So what? Like, and if it's, do you know what I mean? Because Logan isn't a wrestler. So that's why I keep looking at it that way. And I think you have to look at it from both sides. I think it finishes in a no contest.
What?
That's the only thing I can think of. There is like a draw and it goes SummerSlam.
I don't know, because it's really hard to tell. Now that Logan is a heel, like where do we go next with it? Andy also says Seth Rollins feels like a modern day Roddy Piper, always over with a crowd, but doesn't necessarily need a title or wins. Yeah, I definitely think that's the case at the moment because we talked about it before, haven't we, Rob? Where he got quite stale, especially as the kind of regular burn it down beast slayer, like under
the minute he champion. Got the what was it when he had his disciples and a kind of the one glove and the weird jacket kind of thing that he had on. No one liked Seth at that point. It was just he just got lost in this awful character. And him being away, I think it was when the birth of their daughter. And then he come back, and then obviously he started getting all this this new
Seth
momentum,
grip, and all that kind of stuff.
So since he returned from that, it's been a different character. But I do want to make a quick prediction. Obviously, it's not a point thing. But I am so hoping. Obviously, we get WrestleMania. It's the grandest stage of them all. Please tell me we're getting a choir just singing Seth's song on the stage, and then him coming out. Do you remember how they done it for Jericho with AEW, and it was just awful? Like we get that, but
it was all right. No, I think we will. Speaking of Seth Rollins drip, this isn't the only time I've dressed up in a suit on this channel. Of course, I did try out Seth Rollins suits when he first started going into this part of his character as well. So if you want to see me dress up again, because that's what this channel's becoming, guys, then check out that video as well. Andy says, better story is Seth to lose. He can then start a redemption arc. If Logan loses, it kind of proves he can't hang at the top of the card. Good point. Jake Paul could also make an appearance. Very good point as well, actually. Especially being in Hollywood. I think this is the one you want to jump on if you are Jake Paul. I think they're getting closer to that as well. So Seth, then you kind of feel like if he helps, Seth kind of needs a buddy. That's the only thing. But I do think Seth turning into a baby face because he's lost so much. I think that's a good point. He needs to start believing he can build it up, and the crowd are behind him going, "You can do it, Seth." Whereas a few months ago as a heel, the crowd weren't going, "You can do it, Seth." You know, so great performer, can't quite pull it off. Is a good storyline, I think. So, you know what? I think that swayed me a little bit.
And me.
Logan Paul's gonna win.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd say that, but after reading what Andy said, I was like, that does make sense. So I was either going to go with the no contest, or I just couldn't think of anything else. But the idea of Logan winning and Seth like, I can beat you. Even if they do another match, I can beat you.
Because like Andy says, and we touched on it earlier, like he needs to win at some point, Logan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, probably a good thing, really, if that. Yeah. Anyway, right. Let's move on to the next match. Thank you, guys, everyone that stuck with us through this stream. We really do appreciate it. Like we said, go on.
If we get this point wrong and we lose, this is Andy's fault.
Andy owes us, Andy owes us both, Lucas and Dan could have a much better day. They could watch our stream back and kind of plot against us, to be fair. But we'll be watching theirs eagle-eyed, even if we can't change our predictions on Tuesday night as well, when they do our regular predictions and preview as well. So please, if you haven't already subscribed, set your reminders and stuff like that. And Dan and Lucas will take you through the card and tell you their thoughts on what's going on here. I imagine some might be similar to ours, but some might be very, very different, as they always are when the four of us get together as well. So it'd be interesting to see what they come up with. But at the moment, of course, you are on the red carpet preview, a special kind of edition of the preview podcast that we're doing this year, just because we're going Hollywood, baby. Not just WrestleMania going Hollywood, but the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel's going Hollywood with our champagne, our popcorn, and our red carpet, baby. Yeah.
So what you're saying is we bring the style and class, and Dan and Lucas bring the predictions. Is that what you're saying?
Hey, if they want to dress up, they can. Andy says maybe I've been paid off to spread some doubt into your prediction. We've got little storylines going on in the RNPW channel now as well. Thank you, Andy. Either way, hopefully you don't cost us a point. Right, let's move on to the next match. Now, this is most people should be main event of night one. Now, the rumor is that it could potentially be Charlotte versus Rhea. And as I've said, and Andy will know this because he was on the stream with me when we did it on Give Me a Whole Year, I was saying on that channel that just because it's a women's match, and as much as we all love the women's division and want it to go on to step on further and further and stuff like that, we shouldn't just make things main event just for the sake of it. Just like when the World Heavyweight Championship or the WWE Championship didn't feel like the biggest deal, then they opened or whatever it may be. And that storyline, none of the women's storylines have been treated like the main event of WrestleMania. So although they could pull it off performance-wise on the night, yes, but the storyline that everyone is interested in and therefore needs to main event night one, in my opinion. Of course, we're talking about the Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. As Sami and Kevin have called it now, brothers versus brothers, and I like that as well. Mate, just like we could spend a few hours talking about the build-up of Sami Zayn. And I think what we'll do is we'll touch on that on the build-up show on night one and night two. So again, if you haven't already subscribed, please do it now, because we're going to go live a few hours before WrestleMania to get ourselves and yourself in the mood for it as well. But we'll dig into storylines and kind of any changes and the go-home shows and reactions to it, and the last-minute predictions and all the kind of hype about who's in town and what the stage looks like on the build-up show. They are some of our most fun streams to do, so I really do hope you join us for that. And I hope you've been enjoying this one as well. It's been something different for us as well. So we'll dig into the Sami Zayn storyline, I think, a little bit more on that night. But the match overall, even if we don't dig into it too much, mate, the hype has been there. The hug between Sami and Kevin was amazing. They did it again a few days later when Kevin says you only get one a year. Of course, the Usos take him out and have done a very good job of back and forth here. What I cannot say, though, is who's leaving with the titles. I still find it very hard to predict. I don't know if you feel the same way or if anyone feels the same way out there.
How do you think I feel?
Well, because you love the Usos and you love the
I love the Usos, and this Sami and Kevin Owens, obviously we've spoken like so highly on, and did what 15-year feud, if not longer, you know, of their rivalry from way back when they first started all the way up to, you know, when he helped Sami helped Kevin Owens with the Hell in a Cell against Shane, and then the breakup again. Oh man, it's been a roller coaster watching these two. Like, I mean, their matches in NXT were fantastic, and all this, and then the bloodline stuff. It's just been pulling on your heartstrings, right? And when you think they can't do any more to make you think, what do they have to do to really cement these two? That hug moment. We said, like, the way it was done at what was the event? When it was the Bloodline versus Kevin Owens and
Survivor Series?
War Games,
yeah.
In War Games, and he was like, it's beautiful. And then we got the Royal Rumble moment, and he was like, that was
great as well. Cinema, yeah,
exactly, cinema. And then the hug for this is like the perfect sequel.
Yeah. The only one that dipped for me is Elimination Chamber, and that's because they wanted to, I think, drag it out on SmackDown instead. But I think what we're getting at, of course, is that this storyline needs to go and deserves to go in last. As Andy says, this match simply has to headline. When was the last time SmackDown or Raw wasn't closed out by the Sami or the Usos? Great point there. And it's deserving. The storyline is deserving. The characters, the people behind the characters are deserving. You got to remember, you could look at it as second best for Sami. You could argue a great point that Sami should be in a main event, and you could argue a great point they should be winning it. And we went into massive kind of depths of that kind of conversation on our build-up show for the Royal Rumble. And again, I know a lot of people do watch the build-up show after we've done them because they do go in depth on storylines and stuff like that. So although we are previewing an event, essentially we do also go a little bit deeper. So if you haven't already, check out our Royal Rumble build-up show for what we thought on Sami Zayn and that kind of thing at the time, because it felt like even Elimination Chamber, I should say, because of the title match. But yeah, it really felt like it could go either way. And for him to not win the title is one thing, and I understand it, because they kind of accidentally fell into this amazing thing with Sami Zayn. Wasn't an accident for Sami. He was chugging away as hard as he could and did as best as he could, and it's come out well. But it was an accident in WWE's eyes. They weren't expecting that. So to not capitalize on it is one thing, because you've got the Cody thing going on in the background. The least you can do is kind of giving the main event slot on night one, because this storyline, and it suddenly started, and I think they've been very wise what they've done. We'll get into that more with the Cody match, but as far as kind of keeping them equal, so and kind of intertwine the storylines. But yeah, I make Andrew right there. I think
I agree.
These guys have been on top all this time. It'd be crazy to not end night one with these.
The thing is, you got to look at, as Andrew said, when was the last time SmackDown or Raw wasn't closed out by Sami Usos, which is correct. But at the same time, go back and look at other PLEs. If it wasn't Kevin Owens in the main event, then it was a Sami Zayn around. It was the Usos around. It was always around Roman. So this time, if anything, I think this, as story-wise, is up there with, honestly, Roman versus Cody. I think, if anything, this is bigger than Roman versus Cody.
Yeah,
obviously, the story told
for that. Yeah,
the story told for that has been great, and the way they've been talking about Dusty and all that stuff, and bringing all that stuff in. The promos between them have been fantastic. Cody's last one, where Roman walked out and Solo got kicked in the face and stuff. Love it. Like, I'm big for Cody. Like, I obviously will get into that. But I think this could be even bigger. I really do think so. I mean, if this doesn't headline night one, then what a big mistake. Like, what a big mistake they've made. And I understand they want to push the women's division and make it credible, and one of the women should do it. Yeah, if they actually cared, if they cared that much to make it the women should headline at least one night, then make us want to care. And so far, we've done the whole...
Show it the last few months, yeah.
And we've spoken. It was like, what match are we bothered about? None of the women.
Again, and that's it. It's not about the women's division. It's just that sometimes... Like, if the titles are separate, the argument would be, well, then the other title should be main event. But again, if that other title, let's say it was on two other random people, and it wasn't pushed the same way as the other one, or a tag title match or a women's title match, then it shouldn't main event. And these are supposed to be equal. The women's title and the men's title are supposed to be equal within their divisions. The tag titles, you could argue the same thing. They just never really use tag teams in the same way. That brings me on to my next point, though. Where do they go forward after this? Because you go with the Usos, that's because they're a proper tag team. Or do you go with Sami and Kevin now on a bit of a kind of reunion tour sort of thing, and they're champions after this? Because I think for the moment, Kevin and Sami should win. But that all depends on what happens with the bloodline. Of course, they're sowing the seeds for, potential splits and what's going to happen with Jey Uso and stuff like that. And again, I think we'll go into this more again on the build-up show, but that's a big part of it for me as far as who's going to win it. I wouldn't be surprised either way, but for the moment, if we're just talking about WrestleMania, I think it has to be Kevin and Sami. And if it goes on last on night one, the only way they're going to get out of there with happy fans is that, or a huge kind of piece of shenanigans where Roman costs them, and then therefore that just leads into Sami and Kevin costing Roman the next night in return, which I kind of can see. But then do we see a world where Roman's not champion, the Usos still are?
No.
I don't know.
Can't see it.
Yeah. So, all right. Who's going first in this one? Let's have a look. It was you last, so you're going first this time, mate.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit back in there.
Watch me scramble. So I think it's well known over the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling history, and I guess on the original one before we moved over to this channel. Even going far back as being on Talking Beans, I am a huge fan of the Usos.
Just a bit,
right?
Yeah.
Just a smidgen. But Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, like this whole stuff, that hug, is. I mean, it's a tear-jerk moment. It really was, like, and then just seeing that, and then just that image of Cody looking at the screen, like they did it. Like,
yeah, that was funny to me.
But it was so good, and just Cody's smile, and I was like, even that, I was like, so good. The writing for this has been fantastic.
Yeah,
everyone involved has done a fantastic job for this moment.
Yeah.
And I think that moment of them hugging could be bigger. I'll probably say it could be bigger than a WrestleMania moment, because the crowd pop for that is it was huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like, I think for storyline purposes and going forward, obviously, I feel like this should headline. But going forward, and then they're seeing what unravels, and let's not get stuck in this bloodline thing and all that. The Usos have done their thing. They've been the longest tag titles now, tag champions, and all this stuff. But I think it's time for someone else to step up and be the champions. So as much as I regret to say that the Usos are losing, they are, and Owens and Zayn will be victorious. And I want to see that moment with them. And I think if they get it, Cody will come out as well, and he'll be with them.
And it'll sell night too.
That will, yeah. Because I mean, if you do that and then Cody comes out, he's standing there with them. The Usos are walking back. Roman comes out and just barks at them. And then it's just a stare down or something like that. It needs to sell for night two. And I think you will only sell for night two if Sami and KO win, because it's a bigger build. Because it's like, well,
but then the argument against that is that they don't win, and it pushes all that heat onto Roman, and Cody should win for the other two guys. Oh, I think you cut out there. I can't hear you. Can you hear me? All right, I can't hear you. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. Still can't hear you, Rob. Can you hear me? Oh, you're back.
I'm back. I have no idea what's happening.
Goodness. What was that all about?
I don't know. What was I going to say? Yeah, it's like if Cody does it, and as you were saying, Roman is then Cody's now doing it for KO and Sami Zayn. It kind of takes away from that moment of he's doing it for himself, because that becomes second nature, because he's doing it for those two that lost the night before. So I think them being victorious is that way of pushing. Oh well, we've done it. Now you need to do it.
It's your story now. And and I think and that's it as well. The fans will be like, I can get behind Cody now. The ones that are
because
still
Sami Zayn's done his moment.
Yeah,
now it's about Cody. Which is another reason why I think it makes more sense booking wise.
That's a good point. I can also see, like I said, one leading into the other as far as interferences. I could see Cody protecting Sami and Kevin, helping them win, not in a cheating way, but in a kind of evening things, because they've had this big thing with solo. And then the Usos are so annoyed, they see it as Cody, as the heels would, cost them, even though Cody was just leveling the playing field. They see it as Cody cost them. So they try to cost Cody. And And
Like
either they do, and that's a way to kind of keep Roman with the title, or they don't because the new tag champs come out and
save the day.
kind of save the day as well.
Mhm.
Because again, how could you not want to see Sami Zayn get a pop on both nights? You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
it doesn't help with predicting it though, does it?
It doesn't, but I think KO and Sami Zayn are going to be victorious, and so I'm looking forward to the KO Mania and WrestleZania, which that T-shirt,
yeah,
great.
yeah.
That's I guess I got to add that to the list of collective t-shirts.
Yeah. I like that a lot of their storyline has been based on t-shirts. Remember, we got the t-shirt from Roman. That was a great moment. In Defiance having his own t-shirt, and now KO as well. I think it's been so smart. Really, really well done.
Good marketing.
Good marketing, mate. Like the whole feud has been. But yeah. Do I go the same?
Well,
It's what my
bonus
heart
point.
wants. You talking about bonus point? What? Look, if it needs to happen, I think the reward could be the moment though of being on the grand stage, being on last, and that's what I worry about. But I worry more about them not even getting that. But yeah, I think they got to win. It's just where does it go in the future? I mean, the tag titles have potential now to really mean something, but let's be honest, they probably don't see it that way that much. So putting them on a team that only have it for a few weeks because of the feel-good moment isn't something out of the ordinary either. So although this is a potential to kind of move it, get them off of them with a legit tag team and to build something really strong and maybe bring new tag teams in or bring old tag teams back to the company. Yeah, potentially. But I think at this very moment in time, it's all about giving Sami that moment. So yeah, I'm going to go Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, new tag team champions, because we've had the long reign for the Usos. They beat the New Day streak. Like, when else do you want them to lose it? Like, you know,
it's a bit like Roman. I mean, there's only one more thing. Obviously, we'll touch on that in a minute. There's only one more thing that I think Roman needs to do, maybe before he loses the title, all titles. But obviously, we'll discuss that. But you're right. I mean, at some point, it has to come to an end.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and I think if there's ever a time, it's now. Strike while literally the iron's hot. Because
if you haven't done it with the main title, the WWE and Universal, then you got to at least do it with the tag titles. Like you can't miss the boat twice with Sami Zayn.
Exactly.
While you can argue it was a great moment to hug, like it deserves more. So yeah, if it doesn't get second prize, then it'll be really annoying. Do you know what I mean? It's one thing not getting the main title. It's another thing. But again, all along, it felt like this is where they were going to go, and it ended up going the other way. And we went, okay, no, it is a tag team thing. So anyway, let's see how it goes. And now we're going to move into the main event of night 2. We know what's main event in night 2, at least. And that, of course, is the undisputed WWE Universal Heavyweight Championship match between Roman Reigns, the head of the table, the tribal chief, and Cody Rhodes, the grandson of a plumber. Is this the moment, man? It's been a long time coming for Roman Reigns. We'll touch on that first because it seems like you wanted to mention something that you think Roman might have to stick out for in order for this to not end. I thought for months, this is it. It's Cody. Like, this is it. And I've heard in the last 2-3 weeks, people start saying, I'm not sure. I was talking to Tom off air a little while ago. Of course, Tom has been on this channel a few times on build-up shows. And, of course, my co-host on the Talking Beans podcast as well. And he was basically saying that he's seeing it the other way now. He thinks there's a chance that Cody's not going to win. And a few of those factors come into it of Roman getting to the next milestone. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah. I mean, if you're this close to 1,000 days, bro, do you want to stop there? Do you want to stop that streak at that moment? It's kind of, I guess, do you want to say equivalent to Seika's streak, or and
in a different
like
way? Yeah.
It's a huge milestone. No one's done it yet. At least I think since we've been alive, I don't think anyone's done it, right?
Era, yeah.
So someone's got to do it. Someone's got to make that big legacy. And if you've got someone that close, When's the next time we're going to get a 1,000-day champion?
I know, yeah. It'll take
You know?
years to get back to this. I mean, not only because the reign itself would have to be that long, but just for the storyline. Because like after this, not that we should hot potato the title after this, but we need to get back to like maybe 2 title changes a year at least, or something like that.
Yeah.
Put a bit of jeopardy in there, but because otherwise, people will get bored. But
I think the only other people that would I guess we could consider getting away with it now, currently wrestling, Brock, because he was on the way. Obviously, he was then defeated by Seth.
But to do that again, turn a lot of
it'll be
fans
madness. Yep. And I think the only other person I feel could get it, but it might go away heat in the process, would be Gunther. But then I think if they're going to do that, they could do that with the IC title and really do that, and it'd be nice to see a different title get that kind of legacy and legitimacy in another way. So I think while we're doing that, I think the only other person that could do it is Roman, and if we're that close, as much as I really, really, really want Cody to do it, I think Roman has to get to 1,000 days and Cody breaks that streak.
I think the argument is this is what Tom was saying, that it can happen at a later date. I can't remember when 1,000 is hit, but let's say it is SummerSlam or something like that. They could do it then, basically. But because the moment is Cody winning the title. It's not Cody winning the title at WrestleMania, but that's part of it in some ways. I do think Cody winning the title at WrestleMania would just be such a big moment. He came back a year earlier. And yes, he had a long time off. And I do think that maybe it would have happened a few months ago. I do think Cody's been lined up for this anyway. But then would he have won it if it was at Survivor Series or Royal Rumble? Would Reigns have won it? So maybe he weren't. Maybe this is just the next storyline that we're going to do. And someday Cody was going to get the title, So quick comment here from Andy, who says, outlandish prediction, but they need to split the belts. This is their last chance. Whether that's Heyman using a legal loophole saying that Rumble winner only gets the title shot at one belt, or Cody saying he wants to defend them separately. The former allows them to get Roden to 1,000. Very good point. It'll be damaging, but they'll kind of skirt over it, wouldn't they? So I wouldn't be surprised if they did. The 1,000 mark is bang on and Queen of the Ring. Bang on King and Queen of the Ring in Saudi. Oh, okay. So that means it's on the day of a PLE as well. How do you not have the free count and then announce today he's secured 1,000 days? How do you not do that? Oh man.
Imagine if it comes to Saudi and Cody does it at Saudi, because it's 1,000 days on Saudi, and then he does it, and then he wins it at Saudi.
Maybe.
It needs to happen that way, because it's not WrestleMania, but we get it. The only other thing I can think, this obviously it leads into what I was saying before. Cody doesn't. Let's say we look at it from another perspective. Cody doesn't win it. So if he doesn't win it, let's say Cody wins Money in the Bank in London. Then Roman holds it for a bit longer. Then Cody cashes in. But then it's too long. I think that we're waiting too long. I think it needs to happen on the 1,000 days or just after. And if it's bang on for King of the Ring and Saudi, then that's when Cody does it. It has to happen that way. Imagine the upset for Roman. And the pop for it, I think, could be bigger than WrestleMania.
I think it'd be bigger if he didn't reach a 1,000, because he would have already reached 1,000 on that day. So if it was 999 and Cody stops him getting 1,000, that'd be crazy. But he would have got 1,000, and that's it. Both get to win in some way, So I don't know, man. I just feel like the Cody thing. Surely he's got to win it. Surely he's got to be a Mania, because again, we were talking earlier on, there's a big risk that Roman's getting stale, and the bloodline thing's getting stale, So maybe we need something else going on. Andy also says there's normally a style path to Mania in viewers. Can someone cost Cody, i.e. Jay White, would give a good storyline to go into that period. Yeah, so this is another thing as well. So we've got a video coming up on the channel in the next few days about Raw after Mania predictions. And I think Jay White's going to heavily feature in that as well. But I do see...
not literally, by the way.
Yeah, well, he's not going to be there. You never know. But yeah, I do see a way that they do something like that with Cody as well. But
see, I'm unsure because I mean, even if we got do we get Rock's music for the if you smell and then there's a cost there, something happens?
I think you're right. Though. I think Cody just kind of has to do it on his own about the story about his dad.
I think it needs to happen if he's gonna do it. If Cody does it on his own, then there can't be no shenanigans. The KO and Sammy can't be around. And do you know what else I think as well? It falls nicely in Saudi, I guess, because Sammy won't be there, which means Owens wouldn't be there.
Yeah,
so there's a reason.
Like you expect it, yeah. Okay. Oh man, I really don't know which way to go. I feel like I need to go on my gut, which is what it's been for a long time, but I've just had so much doubt creeping up recently, you know?
Who's going first, me or you?
It is me. Crap.
Because I'm ready, if that helps. Although I'm happy to go, because obviously it's the last one. I ain't going to sway anything.
I don't want to be like as much as I love Roman and I love the storyline. I need change. I need the moment. Like I need Cody winning it, and it won't mean as much in the future to me personally. So I think, and even that, like we've said it for months. If Roman, yes, the 1,000-day comes into it, but if Roman loses the title, it should be a WrestleMania. So
I think it'd be a bigger impact if it doesn't at WrestleMania. Because you can do it at Mania and you can't do it anywhere else.
I don't know. I think there's that, you know, when the wind just kind of gets sucked out and you're just like, oh, and that's how it ends. You know, like what happened at Clash, you know. I think we can only do that so many times. No, I'm going to have to go Cody. I think Cody Rhodes is going to win and dethrone Roman Reigns. I do think there's got to be something with switching the titles and all that. And I think this is the chance, as Andy said earlier on, to Cody says, that's the one I want. I mean, that should have been what they did anyway. Cody should have said, that's the one I want, WWE title, because of, you know, my dad and all that. But like, they didn't. So why didn't they? You know, so I think they got merged the titles properly or split them again. So,
well, speaking on that quickly, I'm not sure if you've read, but apparently Triple H isn't very happy with the Universal Championship.
Yeah. Well, he's a big fan of the old Big Gold as well.
Big Gold. There is obviously, I know it's not true.
I think they should. But... Yeah, if they merge them and then in 6 months' time bring back the World Heavyweight, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm for that. I'm all for that. I think
I wouldn't be surprised if they straight up just unveiled it as the World Heavyweight. Or Cody. Everyone talks about Cody bringing back the Winged Eagle, but Cody bringing back the World Heavyweight would make a lot of sense as well, being his dad.
He's had history doing it before. He brought back the white strap for the IC title.
Yeah, but like everyone thinks it will be the WWE title, but his dad never held that, and like his dad had a strong link, of course, to WCW and the NWA. So bringing back the Big Gold, I think, is something Cody could do anyway. So, anyway, I've gone Cody. We could talk about belt designs and storylines and things like that more on the build-up show, but I'm just gonna have to commit to Cody. What are you thinking, Rob?
I feel like you know when you're about to say something, you think, do I say it? Do I say it?
That's what I felt like with this as well. It was a tough one, man. And I'm surprised it is, you know, because a few months ago it was easy to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. And but this 1,000-day thing, we were talking about this last year I think November. I think was it November when we done a watch along, and it was all about the Shield and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But we were talking about it then. Like, it's like what 4-5 months ago, and we were talking about 1,000 days. And then I think even obviously I swapped rooms, but even in the old setup where I was, we were talking about it then. Like you know, so we've heavily talked about it way before people going to 1,000 days over the last few weeks. And I think as much as I believe and really, really, really want Cody to be victorious at night 2, we're getting a 1,000-day champion. I think it has to happen. And especially if Andrew said like it falls at Saudi, which I feel like they've planned that for a reason. They have planned that for a reason. So, and I think Cody's going to dethrone him there. So I'm saying Roman Reigns.
I don't like it as much, but I guess you can get 2 things out of it by doing it that way.
But I think it's going to be one of those where it's a cluster. Like the Usos, especially, imagine if we've got KO and Sami Zayn. They win night 1. Usos come out to help Roman for night 2. Out come the new tag champions. They do their bit, and then it comes down to, and do you know what would be perfect as well? Solo is the reason that Cody loses with a Samoan spike, because he's been pushing Solo for like the last few weeks.
Maybe you're right.
So Solo hitting a Samoan spike, Roman then doing the spear. And then
the only way it would work is if like at last year's Mania, where like Brock was the babyface and they left with, oh, okay, like this is all about making Reigns look good, but like man, Reigns is fun at the moment. The only way they can do that is if they end the same way. Otherwise, they're gonna, again, take the wind out of people's sails. It's just not gonna feel that great if Roman wins it, unless they do some crazy stuff where at the end of it you go, the bloodline are wicked, like again, which they kind of.
Bearing in mind, obviously, we still got the stuff going backstage with. Is Jay really a part of them?
I know, and that could go on for a few more months as well. So they're not quite ready to pull the trigger on that. So maybe you leave that until they are. They could go straight into that. Don't get me wrong, but I think you might.
I like
the
idea. Yeah. I love the idea. I do like the idea of the Usos coming out, then Zayn and Owens come out. They make the save, and then when you think all hell's broken loose and it's all stopped, and the ref is trying to break them up, right towards the end, Samoan spike. That gets hit on Cody.
Yeah, I think it would just be annoying if we had 2 great stories and it feels like we sacrificed the Sami Zayn story for Cody Rhodes and Cody still didn't do it. Like that would be annoying. But if it's because they wanted to get to the 1,000 days and Cody still does do it, then like I guess you kind of make up for it there. But
I think that's what we're going to get.
It's just I want Cody to do it at WrestleMania. I think like I want this to be like there needs to be a climax. It needs to be over with. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's tough. I think yours might be a little bit more likely than what I've gone for. I think I've just let my heart take over a little bit too much there.
Full rookie move.
Yeah, well, what can I say, man? Like it's hard to predict anyway. And then at the same time, I'm not doing too good on the predictions table.
Have you got the scores, by the way? I haven't seen them in so long.
No, they're around somewhere. We'll bring them up for the build-up show. But yeah, it's it is what it is. I don't even know where my trophy is. Hold on. Oh, there it is. Just want to show. Oh, Sting's.
Oh, no, you're throwing Sting away.
Sorry, Stinger. Sorry, Stinger. But I used to be a champ, Rob. I used to be a champ.
Now you're a
you
chump.
were last year. This year. Dan is leading the pack, so we'll see how that goes. But of course, go on.
I think it's close at the top, right? 1 and 2 at the top.
I think, yeah, and WrestleMania, so many points on offer as well. Andy says this is the hardest main event to call in years. I could equally see Cody celebrating the confetti with the locker room coming out to support him when he wins, and 1,000-day reign though. Exactly that, man. It's just so hard to call. I think that it just felt so much more obvious before, and because that doubt's come in, the doubt feels stronger now. Like then, even if the doubt's only like 10-20%, it feels like a 50-50 because it's like a new credible thing. Whereas I didn't feel like it was that credible for before. It was like Roman has to lose at WrestleMania. Cody has come back for something. You know what I mean? So like, it kind of. But now that we're getting this way, you can see a version of it going to 1,000, and Cody does it at a later date. So
the thing is. Surely Saudi will be a bigger stadium, no? They always pack out a stadium.
Bigger than WrestleMania, I don't think.
I don't know. I don't know how.
Come on, Rob. Where do you want to win the WWE title?
Look, you want to as a wrestling
in the middle of the ring, WrestleMania.
You want to win it in the middle of the ring at WrestleMania, and then you have your confetti moment and your tears. Everyone's crying, all that stuff, right? Yeah, I love the idea of that. At the same time, if you get the chance to go, someone is this close to 1,000 days as a champion.
No, but they
And
will
instead
get
of you getting
1,000.
Yeah,
They will get
no, but what I'm
1,000.
saying is, if they get the 1,000 on the day of Saudi, and then the planning is you're not winning at Mania, but you're going to break the 1,000, you're going to beat him on these 1,000 days.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a bigger moment.
It's not as big
You
as
think
beating
Cody
him with
goes, "Nah."
999, though, is it?
I think Roman hits his milestone.
1,000 is good for WWE and good for Roman, but it's not good for Cody. It doesn't mean anything to Cody.
No, but I think with all the shenanigans and stuff building up, I think this builds for a bigger. And like I said, because it's Saudi, Sammy wouldn't be there. So if you take away Sammy, you take away Owens, then that's them two. If you do a way of taking away the Usos and that the bloodline aren't there, and it's just Roman versus Cody, or there's a stipulation, or it's Hell in a Cell, or there's something behind it. Like if there's any interference, you lose the championships.
Yeah.
Like you put all of that sort of stuff in, and it's just them two. Then I think that's better booking. I think that makes more sense because it's 1,000 days. Imagine being pinned when you finally get your celebration. It's 1,000 days as a champion, right? You get all that kind of glory, and then on the same day that you think you are a 1,000-day champion, you then lose. Like that's madness.
Yeah, it's good for WWE. It's good for Roman. It's not as good for Cody, in my opinion. I think Cody should win at WrestleMania for Cody's sake. For WWE, long-term storytelling, maybe. For Roman's kind of reign, yeah. But for Cody, he should be winning at WrestleMania. But
put it this way: if Cody wins, we're happy. If he doesn't win and then he beats Roman on 1,000 days,
that's not bad either. Yeah,
Cody won.
Still,
like that. Yeah, So yeah, that's how I'm looking at it.
It's a tough one. Look, I'm sure we'll go into this way deeper when we come back for the build-up show on night 1 of WrestleMania. Of course, WrestleMania Saturday will be live from 10 p.m. BST. And you can, of course, convert that in Google to figure out where it is around the world. But we have put some of those time zones down there for you as well. But yeah, if you haven't already, please subscribe. If you're new here, if you're not new here and you've been here a few times, come on, guys, please subscribe and check us out more often. But I thank you so much for joining us. Whether you've been watching live or on demand, we really do appreciate it. We've been going for 2 hours and 20 minutes here, almost as long as one of the nights of WrestleMania, I reckon. But if you've just joined us, you've joined us in the last few moments, we have predicted the entire card. So please go back and watch it from the very start. We do appreciate everyone that joins us, whether it is live or on demand. And if you are joining us late or on demand, please drop your comments below and let us know what you think is going to happen at WrestleMania, what you're most looking forward to. This has been a red carpet preview, but of course, we do have our regular preview and predictions coming up in a few days as well. That'll be on Tuesday night with Dan and Lucas. So make sure you stay tuned and subscribe for that as well. And then, of course, after that, of course, like I said, we'll be back for the build-up show. And we're really hoping to be able to join you for a night 1 and night 2 instant reaction and also a regular recap and review. Not only that, guys, we've got so much content coming up around other shows, not just WrestleMania as well. We're going to try our best to cover things like Raw After Mania, cover a bit of Ring of Honor, NXT if we can as well. And also on top of that, the Hall of Fame. And we've got so much content coming. As I said earlier on, I know it's cliche on YouTube to say, subscribe, guys. We've got loads more coming. And then you don't post stuff for a while, whatever else. But trust me, we've got a lot of stuff coming up this week. Some kind of behind the scenes stuff, some features, some other podcasts and things like that as well. It's going to be a real interesting time on the channel. And then we're going to keep kind of building after WrestleMania as well. We really do appreciate everyone that joins us. Like I said, whether it's your first time or your 10th time, we're very happy to have you on board. Also, another comment here from Andy. Great video as always, lads. Thank you so much, mate. And we're looking forward to having you back on the stream as well in the future. Of course, Andy's been on us with us a few times on the build-up show as well, where we like to get kind of friends from the wrestling media really to kind of join us for a big old party on Night of PLE. But Andy's going to be out there in LA for WrestleMania, so extremely jealous of him, but at the same time I'm very pleased to be right here on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel doing the build up as well. If Andy can join us overseas, that'd be absolutely fantastic. I know we've been chatting about that behind the scenes, so if we can make something work, we definitely will, because we always like having Andy and the other guys from Give Me a Whole Year, for example. We've had Michelle on here, usually on the football channel. We've had Tom from Talking Beans. We've had Skillet, Ash Rose, and names like that as well. Alistair McGeorge, as we said earlier on as well. We've had some great names joining us on the build-up show. So hopefully we will this time round. So subscribe here to check us out on Saturday. But again, before that, on Tuesday night, we will be back for the predictions and preview. Also, Andy says, let's see if my Wi-Fi holds up and we'll join you from SoFi Stadium. Imagine that, a live link to SoFi Stadium. Andy, that'd be fantastic, mate. Yeah, definitely. We'll have a little bit of a chat about that and try and get something going. That'd be great, mate. Thank you so much for offering that as well. Kind of in-person correspondent. There we go, right there at the scene in LA. Rob, anything you want to say before we wrap up?
I'm just looking forward to, obviously, the week that we've got planned. Obviously, me and you've been working behind the scenes to get stuff done. But honestly, I'm looking forward to the build-up party. That always feels like it's mental. I mean, the last time we had a big, crazy build-up party was WrestleMania when it rained. And Samoa Joe was in a poncho. You
never know what's going to happen.
So,
yeah, and again, the Mania ones are great. They're always fun. They're kind of wild streams, but the Mania ones are fun because, like we say, the stage and stuff like that, and all the rumors, and everybody's hyped about Mania anyway.
Yeah,
so
man.
we're just kind of feeding off of that as well. So, once again, thank you, Rob, for joining me. Thank you, everyone that's joined us in the chat. And if you haven't kind of sent us any comments so far, feel free to do so after the stream has ended as well. But hey, if you're a silent watcher, that's okay as well. We appreciate you being in the background and supporting us with a view, a like, a share, and a subscribe if you fancy doing that as well. Anyway, I've been Scott. This one over here has been Rob. And I guess we'll see you in a few days' time.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.